Chapter 26. In the New World, on the sea, a huge ship is galloping, stirring up a lot of waves. If you look closely, you will find that the pirate flag on this pirate ship is exactly the flag of the 4 emperors of the New World, the flag of the Red Hair Pirates. A red-haired man walked out from above the plywood. Sitting on the plywood, Shanks breathed in the fresh air and stretched his body towards the sky. Ah! Today's weather is really nice. The sunlight shining on Shanks' handsome face made him look very kind, but the conspicuous scratches on his eyes made Shanks look more like a pirate. Boss Shanks, something big has happened. The vice-captain of the Red Hair Pirates rushed over early in the morning with a piece of intelligence. Oh? Shanks was still a little surprised that the old man, Beckman, came to him with the information without even lighting the cigarette that was already in his mouth. Other leaders of the Red Hair Pirates were awakened by Beckman's loud voice, and came to the splint one after another. Beckman, you're already such a grown-up, be more steady. He said jokingly while wiping the Jesus cloth on his beloved sniper rifle. However, this time, Beckman did not talk to Jesus at all. He took 2 steps at a time and came to Shanks. The latest information he obtained made him unable to remain calm. Boss Shanks, do you remember the 4th Calamity, the new recruit of the Beast Corps a few days ago? Oh? When he thought about it, Shanks barely remembered that the Beast's pirates had indeed suffered a natural disaster recently. However, if Beckman hadn't mentioned it, he would have really forgotten about it. After all, for a strong man of his level, he would not care about a mere 4th disaster. For Shanks, the natural disaster is just a thing that can be instantly killed by locking the conqueror's haki. That guy is a scientist. Beckman said seriously. The scientist? This was something Shanks had not expected. However, wouldn't it be easier to kill yourself instantly? What are you so excited about? Beckman, what do you want to say? Could it be that he has cracked the side effects of the artificial devil fruit? Smile. Shanks's look became more and more confused. No. The problem is much more serious than this. According to my information, this kid may have developed a very scary artificial devil fruit. Beckman said seriously. That's not worth making a fuss about, is it? Shanks still looked lazy, and even took out a glass bottle of beer from his waist and started drinking. What Shanks despises the most is the devil fruit ability. Domineering, but, above everything else. Don't ignore Shanks. This devil fruit is very powerful. After Kaido ate this devil fruit, the Whitebeard pirates were directly defeated by Kaido and his crew. This is the best proof. Beckman shouted out in panic. What? Shanks, who was drinking beer, lost his concentration and choked on the beer. Shanks knew Whitebeard's strength, even though he was old. But this world, since the departure of his captain Roger, was called the Whitebeard era. Will he lose to Kaido? And you just said that Kaido ate 2 devil fruits? Shanks looked at Beckman with disbelief. The other officers of the Red Hair Pirates looked at each other in disbelief. That's unlikely, Beckman. Is your information wrong? Jesus said with a look of doubt on his face. Whitebeard is the strongest man in the world, how could he lose to Kaido? Also, eating 2 devil fruits will lead to death. This is the iron law of the sea. How could Kaido eat 2 devil fruits? Watermelon-headed Lakey also felt his head buzzing and was very confused. I don't believe it either, but this information has been confirmed. Besides Kaido and the devil fruit, there is an even more terrifying invention, that is the space device anywhere door invented by natural disaster. I don't know if this door has any restrictions, but according to intelligence, this door can instantly transfer multiple people to any other space. Beckman took out a cigarette, lit it, and said with a look of shock as the cigarette smoke entered his lungs. Is there really a space machine in the world that can allow multiple people to instantly transfer to any location? If there really is such a space door that allows people to come and go freely, Kaido, even if he wants to attack us, I'm afraid we won't be able to deal with it, right? Jesus Bulletin, who had been joking before, fell into worry. Lakey put down the chicken drumstick in his mouth for a rare moment, with a dazed look on his face. A technique that ignores the iron laws of the sea devil fruit, plus a door that allows you to come and go freely. Where on earth did the 100 Beasts group recruit such powerful guys from? Lakey opened his mouth and said in shock. Even Shanks, the king of the sea, frowned this time and no longer dared to have any thoughts of underestimating Yayu. A natural disaster. Shanks then began to pay attention to the portrait of Yehane on the intelligence map. So many young people. Come to think of it, he's not that much older than Luffy, right? They are so young, but have achieved such amazing technological achievements. What will happen if they can continue to develop for a few more years? Thinking of this, the expression on Shank's face began to become serious. Listen to my orders. Our pirate group can't be so lazy anymore. Even in our own lair, we must stay alert and stand guard in shifts 24 hours a day. Shanks, who has 2 devil fruits, thought he could still use the terrain advantage to deal with it, but he really didn't have much to do with this mysterious and undetectable anywhere door. In Wano country, on a Nagashima. Natural scourge, a scientist comparable to Vegapunk. Looking at the latest news, Kaido scoffed at it. In Kaido's opinion, Vegapunk's technological level is not even as good as Yahane's. What's wrong with you, Vegapunk, being able to build a space machine in 3 days or to break the taboo of double devil fruits? Sorry, we in the Beasts Pirates will all be able to deal with natural disasters, ah la 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 la. What a bunch of idiots, world, you will soon find out that Yayu is much more powerful than Vegapunk. Kaido is very concerned about Yayu's latest technology. After all, Yayu himself said that the new invention will greatly enhance the combat effectiveness of the entire Beasts Pirates. I believe that only after the emergence of new inventions will Yayu truly create a storm in the entire world. And that time will be the beginning of Kaido's dream coming true. Speaking of which, Yayu is working hard on inventions, so I can't sit idle either. Yayu gave me the lightning attribute chakra, so I should also study it. Maybe I can combine it with the Susanoo form, Arara. Afterwards, Kaido actually imitated Yayu and stayed in the haunted house, having someone guard it, not allowing anyone to disturb him, and went to study his lightning chakra. Chapter 27. At the same time, the huge news about Yayu's name was also spread all over the world through the information that Morgans obtained from Big Mom. On Krakena Island, inside the ancient castle, Hawkeye Mihawk was sitting on a round table, crossing his legs, tasting top-quality red wine. He looked relaxed and contented just now, but after hearing the introduction about the natural disaster, he suddenly lost his composure. He put down his legs, straightened his body, and stared at Yayu's portrait on the newspaper with his eagle-like eyes. They actually developed a door that can travel through space at will. This kid's talent seems to be much stronger than Vegapunk's. From now on, this portal will probably be enough to make the Navy suffer. Then, Hawkeye Mihawk's mouth corners suddenly curved into an arc. This sea is becoming more and more interesting. On the mysterious island, the revolutionary Long sat in his office, his eyes fixed on the latest intelligence, his face serious and silent. At this moment, the door of the Revolutionary Army's office was pushed open, and a short man who looked like a squirrel pushed the door open and walked in. This person is Lindbergh, the commander of the Confederate Army of the Revolutionary Army. Long, what's the matter? Let me come here in person. You know, I have an important mission. As soon as he came in, Lindbergh, who was carrying a large number of strange weapons on his back, expressed his complaints to the Revolutionary Long. Comrade Lindbergh, please put aside the mission over there for now. There is a more important mission here that needs you to complete. Come to think of it, didn't you tell me before that a space machine is impossible to build? In addition to being the commander of the Confederate Army, Lindbergh also had another identity in the Revolutionary Army, that is, the great inventor of the Revolutionary Army. When Dragon failed to win over Dr. Vegapunk, he asked Lindbergh to replace Vegapunk to help the Revolutionary Army with research and development. The weapons used by the Revolutionary Army were basically invented by Lindbergh. Of course that's impossible, Dragon. It's not that I can't make it, but no one in this world can make such an unreasonable machine, including Vegapunk. Lindbergh, as a matter of course. Afterwards, Long handed the information in his hand directly to Lindbergh. According to intelligence, someone has already made this thing. Long said lightly. Okay? Lindbergh read through the information Long gave him with great disbelief. At first he didn't believe it, but when he saw that even the Navy admitted that they were ambushed by the Anywhere door, Lindbergh was stunned. It's actually true? An unreasonable machine was created by humans. After a brief moment of daze, Lindbergh quickly browsed through Yayu's pictures. Very young. This kind of machine is particularly important to our Revolutionary Army. You know, Lindbergh, what our Revolutionary Army lacks most now is a base. With this portal, we can use the place as our base no matter where we are. We no longer have to worry about the lack of bases as before. The revolutionary Long continued to speak. Yes, the revolutionary army suffered a greater blow from the world government. The world government would not allow the revolutionary dragon to develop a large-scale base like Kaido and Wano country. Therefore, the revolutionary army's base was very small, but even so, it was often raided, and many important weapons and materials were difficult to take away. With the portal, they don't have to worry about the base at all. They can attack when they want and leave when they want. After hearing Long's words, Lindbergh revealed a bitter smile. Long, I understand how you feel, but this kind of thing is really too difficult to make. Space technology is the most difficult technology in the scientific world. With my ability, I'm afraid it's almost impossible to develop it. Lindbergh looked dejected. As a scientist, he was willing to conduct research even if there was a glimmer of hope. But for him, developing scientific research technology is just like asking a primary school student to study calculus. He has no idea where to start. What if I have the materials to develop a portal? You have a list of materials for developing the Anywhere door. I can give it a try. But, Long, don't hold your hopes too high. You decide whether to let me continue the revolution or stay here and study a machine that could easily fail. It's your choice, Long. The revolutionary army dragon had almost no hesitation. Lindbergh, I support you in studying this door. Our revolutionary army needs this kind of thing so badly. In the Holy Land of Marijoa, the celestial dragons also received news from the navy one by one. There was a look of greed in everyone's eyes. With this door, we can capture slaves all over the world in the future. I want it so badly, I really want it so badly. Do you want to find a way to capture that guy Yayu? Yayu, who doesn't know that he is already famous all over the world, is still in the laboratory, working on his own inventions. Now that the magnetic devil fruit has been developed to its awakened form, Yayu can now accurately control various mechanical equipment, which has greatly accelerated Yayu's research and development time. It's finally almost done. After achieving a series of results, Yayu stretched lazily with satisfaction and looked at the time. It was already 1 o'clock in the morning. Get some sleep and you'll have it done tomorrow. Yayu felt excited when he thought that the low-cost invention of senzu beans could bring him a large amount of points. It was as if I saw the diamond 10 draw, waving at me. Just when Yayu was about to go to bed, outside the door, Yayu's eyes, which had been sleepy just now, suddenly became sharp. Outside the laboratory, 2 people wearing white clothes and ghost masks, one tall and one short, were walking towards their laboratory. CP0. Yayu narrowed his eyes slightly. Unexpectedly, the dogs of the world government could enter Wano country quietly. It turns out that the world government cannot be underestimated. I just don't know why they came. Assassination? After all, in anime, CP organizations do this kind of dirty things. It is not impossible that the world government is afraid of its own scientific research strength and wants to assassinate itself and terminate its research and development. Today, Yayu is somewhat thankful that he has improved his combat effectiveness as quickly as possible. Otherwise, it would be difficult for me to defeat the 2 members of CP0. As expected, if you only have technology but no real strength, it's very dangerous in the pirate world. It's like the fate of a woman with a beautiful face who was born in the lower class. Afterwards, Yayu sat directly on the office chair, narrowed his eyes slightly, and waited for the 2 to arrive. Chapter 28. Outside the laboratory, the evil wolf, 6 flying cells, later replaced by Drake, was yawning. It was his turn on duty today to prevent others from disturbing Yayu. In front of him, 2 white figures were walking towards him step by step. Hey, who are you with? It is Lord Kaido's order that no one is allowed to disturb Yayu. Get out of here! The evil wolf said angrily. But the 2 did not speak, and the next moment, a sonic boom was heard as if their feet were stepping on the air. Tap 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 tap. In an instant, 2 men in white clothes appeared in front of the wolf. Point gun. Lanjiao. Tick-tock. Tick-tock. Drops of blood dripped quietly onto the ground. The scene was a little weird. The 2 of them pointed and kicked, and within a moment of contact, the 6 flying wolf's eyes rolled back and it fell to the ground. Humph, is this the strength of the 6 flying cells? Nothing more than that. This time, we must win the natural disaster. Then, the 2 of them stepped on the wolf's body and walked directly into the laboratory. After a moment, 2 CP0s, one tall and one short, appeared in front of Yayu. At this time, Yayu was still sitting in his chair in the laboratory, resting with his eyes closed. It's not easy to enter my laboratory. Yayu raised his eyes slightly, looked at the two people in front of him and said lightly. I am actually a little curious about the faces of the two people in front of me under the masks. Dr. Yayu, it's not easy to see that we are so calm. Yayu sneered inwardly. Calm? That's natural. It's just because you are too weak. If you really had a general, I would have run away long ago. Still waiting here for you too? In fact, the reason why Yayu did not activate the alarm was that he wanted to try his skills and gain some practical experience. But he didn't want Kaido to know his fighting ability and make Kaido guard against him, so, the two people in front of him were a good opportunity. Kill people directly, then throw the body in your own laboratory, and turn it into air through chemical methods. It's perfect. If Kaido asks, he can just say that he used technological means to kill him. Who will know what happened here? Don't be polite with me. Just tell me what you want to talk to me about. It's not civilized to disturb other people's sleep time. Yayu looked at the two of them and asked jokingly. It's simple. Our world government is very optimistic about you. We hope that you can work for our world government like Vegapunk. There is no future for you if you follow Kaido. Your only way out is to follow our world government, Yayu. The two CP0s said in a threatening tone. The order they received was that if Yayu disobeyed, he would be killed on the spot. So they didn't intend to waste any more time talking to Yayu. Although I am a scientist and my fighting ability is very weak, I will never be easily threatened by others. I am a scientist with a backbone. Yayu roared angrily. After hearing that Yayu rejected their invitation, the two members, one tall and one short, with a 0% CP score, looked cold. The air around him suddenly froze at this moment, and a hint of murderous intent quietly rose. Then don't blame us for being rude. We brought 50 billion Baileys in invitation fees this time. When you die, I will burn paper money. Before CP0 finished speaking, Yayu came to the two of them. What? Really give me money? Why didn't you tell me earlier? This is something you can consider. Drops of sweat gradually appeared on the foreheads of the two CP0s. They really couldn't understand why Yayu, who was so tough just now, changed his attitude so suddenly. Do you think that after you reject us harshly, we will beg you and then follow us? Humph, what a hypocritical and cowardly guy. With contempt for Yayu, the two CP0s handed the money to Yayu. There is no other way. The five elders want to win him over if possible. Even if they despise Yayu in their hearts, they still have to carry out the mission. Yayu, who received 50 billion Baileys, was very happy. It must be said that the world government is much richer than the beast's pirates. Nowadays, his own small treasury has more than 10 billion Baileys. Yayu was thinking, in the future, whether the system will unlock technology that suits him, so that he can enjoy the technology and build a Catwoman robot or something. After all, money is not a problem at all now. What are you still standing there for, Dr. Yayu? We have to leave quickly. The voice beside her ear brought Yayu back to reality. I've thought about it. I won't go. The world government is too oppressive. I don't like it. It's more free here. Yayu said with a smile as he put the 50 billion Baileys into the piggy bank drawer behind him. What Yayu said was true. Isn't Vegapunk a good proof of this? Following the world government and being a scientific inventor, it seems that he has great power and sufficient funding, but all his actions are under the surveillance of the world government. If there is any behavior that goes against the world government, the Five Elder Stars' Great Titan will personally lead the Great Future to wipe it out. At least he is respected by Kaido, and he will not be monitored in the laboratory, which is more conducive to Yayu's future plans. The corners of the two CP0s mouths twitched. They really didn't expect that the young scientist in front of them would be so shameless. Kill him. The tall CP0 finally couldn't stand it anymore. He had wasted so much of their time and finally refused to leave. If I had known earlier, I should have taken action just now. He who refuses to accept a toast will be punished with a drink. A short CP member with extremely cold eyes. Then, without any hesitation, the two of them launched their shaving attacks towards Yayu. The two CP0 members bent their bodies slightly downward, and then a strong force suddenly burst out from their feet. Boom! Boom! The two of them moved as fast as thunder, half suspended in the air, the wind whistling around them, their clothes fluttering. Under the powerful reaction force, the ground beneath my feet was like fragile porcelain, with fine and messy cracks appearing. These cracks spread all around like a spider web. Point gun! Point gun! The two of them rushed to Yayu's head in an instant and launched their own attacks. Bang! 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 Almost at the same moment, 3 sonic booms sounded at the same time. Okay? For a moment, both CP0 members were a little confused. Why were there 3 voices just now? Could it be that there is another hidden CP member who also launched the finger gun? Chapter 29. Rumble. In the center of the two sides, 3 groups of energy collided, causing a huge vibration in an instant. The powerful aftermath shattered the ceiling above, and then fell, with broken bricks scattered all over the ground. The 2 CP0 members were completely dumbfounded. Finger gun? You were the one who fired the finger gun just now? Who are you? The expressions of the 2 CP members under the masks were very surprised. They never dreamed that Yayu, as a scientist, had such strong combat capability, and the key point, he was using the Navy 6 styles. Could it be that Yahane is an undercover agent planted by the world government next to Kaido? But this is impossible. If this is true, the world government would have nothing to do and would just let everyone kill each other? Looking at the two of them, Yayu's mouth curled up slightly. How? It's just pointing the gun. Is that difficult? Then, Yayu raised his legs, gathered the armed colored armor on his legs, and kicked out another storm kick at the speed of thunder. This time, Yayu used all his strength and his speed was so fast that he appeared as an illusion. The 2 members with 0 points in camp just felt a gust of wind blowing, and then 2 storm kicks hit them heavily in front of them. The tall CP member, whose observation haki is slightly stronger, captured Yayu's attack. The speed is too fast to dodge. In a hurry, he crossed his hands and placed them in front of his chest, spreading his armed armor, and took the kick head-on. What a powerful force! Puff! The tall member of the CP felt as if he was hit by a mountain. His internal organs were churning and a sweet taste flowed from the corners of his mouth. He was knocked back more than 10 steps before he could barely stop. Even on his hands, there was a scar caused by Lan's foot. It was obvious that Yayu's armed color domineering was better than his own. The other short CP member was not so lucky. Because Yayu's speed was so fast, he couldn't even take the most basic defensive posture. The powerful slashing wave formed by the storm kick directly wrapped around the body of the short CP member and led him to the sky above the laboratory like a kite with a broken string. A touch of bright red fell from the short man's body, forming a graceful arc. Boom! Finally, the short CP member fell heavily to the ground again. The short CP member who fell to the ground smashed a huge hole covered with spider web-like cracks on the hard marble floor of Yayu's laboratory. In just a few seconds, Yayu had suppressed 2 members of the CP0 organization. This is the combat power of the Vice Emperor level. The 2 CP0 members were extremely horrified at this moment. They looked at Yayu with incredible expressions, extremely shocked. Is this a scientist? Are scientists so capable? Even they themselves did not realize that when facing Yayu, their bodies had actually begun to tremble. This is an instinctive reaction from deep within the soul. This is how the weak behave when facing a truly strong person. This is completely different from their attitude towards Yayu when they just came in. Run! Almost at the same time, this idea came into the minds of both of them. If they can get out the information about Yayu's inexplicable power, they can avoid the death penalty. Shave! Moon's step! Both of them used up their last bit of strength, even if it would hurt their wounds. They knew very well that Yayu was just a pig pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger. If they stayed here, they would only die. Watching the 2 people running away, Yayu did not chase after them. As a time traveler, do you respect life? Of course not. As a time traveler, Yayu respects the fate of others more than the lives of others, and the fate of these 2 people is death. Ding ding dong! Ding ding dong! The devices behind Yayu were trembling one by one at this moment, as if they were animals seeing their natural enemy. Afterwards, these iron instruments gradually merged together, compressing. Recompress. Continue to compress until it finally becomes as thin as a needle. Yayu gave himself a name for this move, Magnetic Magic Needle. That guy kid was wrong about the direction of developing the magnetic devil fruit. Yayu sighed slightly. The magnetic fruit only relies on large magnets. Whether it is the magnetic demon or the magnetic bull demon king, it is difficult to cause damage to the strong with such moves. This was already evident when he and Luo fought against Big Mom. Their output was not as high as that of an assistant. The real power of the magnetic devil fruit lies in its precision and extreme compression quality. This is the conclusion that Ye Yu came to after developing the magnetic devil fruit to the awakened state. Looking in front of him, seeing two people running hard, Ye Yu showed a devilish smile. Afterwards, Ye Yu just raised his finger slightly, and the silver needle that Ye Yu had summoned before reflected rays of light under the cold light of the laboratory, and the next moment, it completely disappeared in front of Ye Yu. Almost at the same moment when the silver needle was launched, the two members of the CP organization who were running hard before fell heavily to the ground, motionless. If you look closely, you will find that there are traces of bright red at the temples of their heads. Anyone who is strong will die if their brain is damaged. Coming in front of the two of them, Ye Yu spoke condescendingly. Quickly, I checked my points. Okay. As expected, if you want to increase your points in the technology system, you have to use technological products. There is no other way. The reason why Ye Yu wanted to do it himself this time was, firstly, to test his own strength, and more importantly, to see if he could get points. However, just when Ye Yu was feeling a little disappointed, the system prompt sounded. Ding! Detected, someone is trying to assassinate the host. The host remained calm in the face of danger and completed the counterattack meticulously, carrying forward the scientific spirit. Reward, Ghost Sprint. Incomplete Resurrection Coin, one-time consumable, and Resurrection Coin repair technology. Okay? There really is a reward, but the reward is not in the form of points. And I completed the counterattack meticulously, but why does it feel weird? System, you think I was doing an experiment just now, right? Chapter 30. Ye Yu was speechless for a while. It seems that the reward I received has little to do with the murder I committed. On the contrary, he was recognized by the system for his precise killings through the magnetic devil fruit. Well, as expected. I haven't fully understood this system yet. I need to experiment a few more times and develop it well in the future. Ye Yu muttered to himself and stopped investigating further, instead entering the panel in his mind. The most important thing right now, of course, is to check your rewards. Ghost Sprint, used once a day, lasts for 10 seconds, allows the user to hide his breath and gain a 10-fold increase in speed. Ultimate Observation Haki can detect invisible states. During the duration, active attacks will reveal the true form. Ghost Sprint? This name is somewhat similar to the summoner skill in a game I play. And that is the ultimate sight and hearing color? Nowadays, Ye Yu has obtained the advanced observation haki. He is very clear that Katakuri's observation haki is also an advanced observation haki, not the ultimate observation haki. That means his observation haki is even more advanced than Katakuri's. In Ye Yu's opinion, there must be people in the world of pirates who have the ultimate observation haki, such as I'm, and even the 5 Elder Stars, and Count Gonghong may also possess it. You can't prove they don't exist, but you can't rule out their existence. This is the scientific spirit that Ye Yu has already possessed after so many years of scientific research. Although it will be discovered by the ultimate observation haki, it is still a 10-fold speed bonus. Moreover, in this world, except for those old monsters, no one has cultivated to the ultimate level of observation haki. Generally speaking, Ghost Sprint is definitely comparable to a god-level skill. With ghostly speed, this strange ability, even a Navy admiral could be attacked by himself and capsize in the gutter. Even if Garp came and I wanted to escape, with the 10-fold speed bonus in 10 seconds, I would have run far away. Ye Yu was still very satisfied with Ghost Sprint. With excitement, he continued to watch. Resurrection Coin. This is even more awesome. Although it is a one-time consumable item and cannot be used every day like Ghost Sprint, it is a life. What do you need most nowadays? Of course it's self-protection. As long as you keep developing your technology, you will eventually become the strongest boss. During this period, I just need to stay alive. Who would complain about having one more life? As for the broken resurrection coin, it's actually nothing. Isn't there technology to repair the resurrection coin? At worst, I can do some private work on my own, get the resurrection coins ready, and then develop the senzu beans to extend the delivery time. Kaido definitely doesn't know the situation on my side. Afterwards, Ye Yu received the resurrection coin repair technology and started to check it out. Bloodline Factor Culture Medium. The resurrection coin repair technology is more complicated than Yayu imagined. Let me stroke it. Yayu stroked his chin and began to think. The bloodline factor, also known as the life blueprint, exists in all living organisms. It was discovered by MADS, a technological organization composed of Vegapunk and his team members including Kaji and Caesar. The guy who has the best grasp of bloodline factors must be Vegapunk. If you want to revive a person, you must revive his genes, so the life blueprint technology is of course necessary. The key to the problem is that the technologies that Yayu possesses are all given by the system, and there is no bloodline factor technology. If you want to master this technology yourself, without the help of a system, it will probably take several years. Purchase? In the system mall, no technology is sold at all. Until now, if we want to acquire new technology, we must continue to let old technology be invented and used by people. So, wait a little longer. Wait until I acquire this technology, then research the resurrection coin. Yayu fell into deep thought again. This is a life, the temptation is too great, Yayu really doesn't want to wait. Moreover, even if he obtains the technology, it will be difficult to succeed without an experimental environment. What I lack now is the technology of bloodline factor in a laboratory to support me in completing the resurrection coin experiment. Yes, the resurrection coin technology is extremely complicated, and the specifications of the laboratory provided by Kaido are not enough. Speaking of the experimental environment, Yayu narrowed his eyes slightly, and suddenly an idea flashed in his head. Only that place can do it. Moreover, there, bloodline factor technology can also be obtained. It looks like we have to go to future Warhead Island. At this time, there was a knock on the door. The beasts pirates, they react pretty quickly. However, fortunately, I have turned those two guys into air through chemical methods. The holes left by the battle have been repaired at a rapid speed using the magnetic devil fruit. Yayu calmly opened the door. Kaido, the three calamities, the 6 flying creatures and others all walked in. After seeing Yayu's true self, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Lord Calamity, are you all right? Just now, someone raided the laboratory and the wolf was knocked unconscious. I suspect it was the damn world government who did it. Peggy Wan clenched her fists and said viciously. Kaido also looked very guilty. I'm so sorry, Dr. Yayu, I'll change your lab right away, it's not safe here anymore. Yayu waved his hand. No need, Boss Kaido. Changing the laboratory will be detrimental to my research. The person who injured the evil wolf is from the CP organization. Seeing Yayu speaking slowly, the members of the Beasts Pirates all looked over with surprise on their faces. Did you see them? They didn't hurt you. Black Maria opened her red lips slightly, looking surprised. Yes, but I saw it through surveillance. I have installed a maze system in the laboratory here. They can't get in at all, but I can see their every move. There were 2 of them in total. They couldn't get in, and they were afraid of being discovered, so they left in disgrace. Yayu said calmly. It's really you, Yayu. Ah la 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 la. Great job. Kaido patted Yayu with his big hands and said excitedly. The other members of the 100 Beasts looked at Yayu one by one as if they were looking at a god. Lord Scourge. Lord Scourge. Only Jin, although he was a little skeptical at first, put his doubts aside after looking around. Overall, Yayu's arguments were quite convincing. The technology that Yayu demonstrated is so powerful that for the Beast Group, developing a maze system would be a piece of cake as long as Yayu wants to. However, they don't know that it is not Yayu who is powerful, but Yayu's system. Unless there is system support, Yayu naturally cannot develop any so-called maze system. That's great, Jin. I have something to talk to you about. Do you have the anywhere door? Yayu signaled for everyone to be quiet and looked at Jin. I have it. After receiving the information that the evil wolf was knocked unconscious, we were worried that you were in danger, so we activated the portal immediately. Quinn, as he spoke, took out the anywhere door. Jin, future Warhead Island, you should have been there, right? Chapter 31. Future Warhead Island? After hearing this place, Yin's eyes became dazed for a moment, and some bad memories came to his mind. Because he is a special race, he was kidnapped by the world government and subjected to various experiments. Among them, he was sent to the future Egghead Island for experiments. Dr. Yayu, I've been there. That's great. Please remember where it is. I want to go there through the anywhere door. Yayu said calmly. The world government has heavy troops guarding there, it's a dangerous place. Yayu, where are you going and what are you doing? This is a very dangerous behavior. Even Kaido was a little uneasy. After so much trouble, Yayu escaped danger and now he wanted to go out for some exciting fun again? Yayu, but the treasure of the beast's pirates must not be lost. Alas, the new experiment has encountered a huge bottleneck. Only the experimental environment there can help me break through the bottleneck. I want to go to Egghead Island and try my luck. See if I can steal Vegapunk's laboratory. Kaido, Jin fell into deep thought. Indeed, it is no exaggeration to say that the experimental level in that place is 100 times stronger than that here by Kaido. Let me go with you, Dr. Yayu. Yin said with a worried look. Come with me? This is not a good idea, after all, I am researching the resurrection coin. That's not necessary, Jin. If you follow me, it will be detrimental to my scientific research. But... Stop talking about Jin. For the beast's pirates, I'm willing to take risks. Besides, there is a random door. Don't worry, if something goes wrong, I will definitely be able to come back by myself. Seeing that Kaido and the others were still somewhat reluctant, Yayu felt helpless, there was nothing he could do. I can only use my trump card. You don't understand scientists' dedication to science. No matter what, I will definitely develop new technology to enhance the power of the beast's pirates. Otherwise, my scientific career will be ruined, and I will be sad for the rest of my life. Until I die. I won't be able to close my eyes properly. If you still don't agree, I'll hit my head and die here. Yayu said this with great emotion, as if he was ready to sacrifice himself for the beast group and for science. Hearing this, Kaido, Jin and others all had tears in their eyes. Originally, they thought Yayu, like most scientists, was weak and a little afraid of death. Now, it seems that Yayu is very strong. Besides, where can we find such loyal scientists? Jin blushed even more. When Big Mom Pirates invited Yayu with a high salary, Yayu refused. But Jin still doubted Yayu. He suspected that Yayu was not in the same mind as the beast's pirates, and even that Yayu was hiding his own fighting ability. Now I think, I'm really going to die. Kaido, Jin finally compromised. As for the laboratory problem, with the current financial strength of the beast's pirates, they really can't build it. Although the luck is slim, let's try our luck. Of course, the main reason why they finally agreed to let Yayu go was because of the anywhere door. Anyone who has used this thing will know that even in dangerous situations, as long as you step into it, you can escape danger. Brother Yayu, I'm sorry, it's all because of the incompetence of our 100 Beasts group. Don't let anyone find out. If anything unexpected happens, you must open the portal. Kaido and the others gave repeated instructions before watching Yayu leave. Yayu's back completely disappeared behind the door. Kaido was dazed for a while and fell into deep thought. Yayu has made so many contributions to the beast's pirates, but he doesn't even have a decent laboratory. No, I, Kaido, must continue to practice my lightning attribute chakra and merge it with the Susanoo form as soon as possible to improve my combat effectiveness. At that time, we will be able to rebel against the top celestial dragons in the whole world. Wait, when that time comes, I will go and grab the gold from the sky. In the future Warhead Island, in Vegapunk's special laboratory, Vegapunk, although he has been injected with stimulant drugs and can still be full of energy after 3 days and 3 nights without sleep, his hair is very decadent and messy like a chicken coop. Vegapunk, wearing a white coat, kept rubbing the 2 clumps of white hair on both sides of his head. Why? I have all the materials, but I still can't research the portal. I have no clue at all, no clue at all. Vegapunk seemed to have collapsed. Yayu, how can it be created? I am the user of the brain devil fruit, it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. He was known as the smartest man in the world, a scientist who was 500 years ahead of the world in technology, but at this moment he realized in his heart that his scientific research level was inferior to Yayu's. If Yayu was a towering giant, he himself would be a newborn baby. At this moment, Vegapunk finally understood the meaning of the saying there is always someone better than you. Yayu, is he the real genius? Compared to him, I am just dull. But I'm not willing to give in. After venting his emotions for a while, Vegapunk boosted his morale and continued his endless research. At this time, the genius Yayu mentioned by Vegapunk has already arrived on Egghead Island. Yayu, who had just arrived, was also a little helpless. How could he avoid the numerous sieges and find where Vegapunk was? He also had to let Vegapunk personally tell him the technology to give him the bloodline factor. This is almost an impossible task. However, as a scientist for so many years, Yayu believes that there are always more solutions than problems and that only by taking action can problems be solved. So he decided to take one step at a time and see what happens. Who are you? A patrolman similar to a navy officer spotted Yayu at the first opportunity. Boom! Sitting on the patrolman, Yayu had already changed his clothes. It will seem less noticeable this way. 10 minutes later, the ground trembled slightly, and a fat guy of 2 meters and 80 centimeters tall came towards Yayu. Its face and hairstyle are like a girl, with a seam on the left side of its face from the eye to the corner of its mouth. It wears a red belly band with 3 megatama and a pattern in the middle. It has a huge knot around its waist and holds an exaggerated giant axe in its hand. This person, Yayu, naturally knows him. He is the captain of the scientific corps of the Marine headquarters, Kizaru's subordinate, Vegapunk's bodyguard, Gendarmerie. Yayu suddenly felt that the problem seemed to be half solved. Master Gendarmerie, may I ask where Vegapunk is now? I have something to report to him. Okay? A pair of suspicious eyes instantly stared at Yayu. You bastard! Are you new here? Don't you know that the place where Vegapunk conducted the experiment is not to be told to anyone? Yayu's mouth twitched for a while. Isn't this right? Jean Doan, this idiot, why are you so tight-lipped? Besides, I'm the most tight-lipped man in the world. I won't tell you, Vegapunk, we are now at Area B, Room 38, and the Vegapunk Special Laboratory is replicating Yayu's Anywhere door. Well, that's right, it feels good. However, Yayu did not expect that the old man Vegapunk was quite interested in his own door. Afterwards, Yayu and Jean Doan passed by each other. Just 2 seconds after he walked out, he heard Jean Doan's voice behind him. No, you are not from our Marine Headquarters Science Corps. This is not right again, right? Rumble. Rumble. The ground shook, and Jean Doan rushed towards Yayu with the pace of a wrestler. Walking alone in the sky. Hit with your feet. The powerful Ryasakura aura attacked instantly. Chapter 32. Yayu narrowed his eyes. To be honest, Gendarmerie's combat power could definitely reach the level of a candidate for admiral. Yayu also threw out 2 punches and blasted forward forcefully. Rumble. Rumble. Above the sky, a powerful impact completes the collision. The hurricane formed by the energy wave forced the surrounding navies to retreat again and again. When the dust settled, Yayu's figure had long disappeared. Who is that person? Why does he look familiar? It seems to be a natural disaster. Jean Doan, who had also heard of Yayu's name, was suddenly shocked. But, if it was a natural disaster, how did it avoid my attack? How did he escape? Did the Anywhere door escape? No. The Scourge is too dangerous. Since he can use technology to resist my attacks, who knows what technology he has to hide himself? Listen carefully, the Scourge is coming, everyone be on alert, we must find the Scourge tonight. Yes. Lord Sendaomaru. The entire future Warhead Island fell into chaos due to Yayu's arrival. After Yayu received the news about Vegapunk, he immediately activated Ghost Speed. The whole world was moving backwards rapidly, and the picture was even blurred. The blurred heads of panicked Navy men passed by Yayu several times, but no one noticed any trace of Yayu. From the beginning to the end, Yayu's terrifying speed did not even create a trace of strong wind. Ghost Sprint, it really is a god-level skill. Yayu was filled with emotion, and he had already arrived at Vegapunk's special laboratory. At this time, Vegapunk was still concentrating on studying the Anywhere door. Something's wrong, something's wrong. There's a materials list, why can't I even do a basic synthesis? Vegapunk was completely confused, and he slumped down on his chair, feeling desperate. Vegapunk, you will never be able to develop a space machine even if you study like this for your entire life. A voice came from the back of Vegapunk's head, causing Vegapunk, who had just been slumped on the ground, to jump up all of a sudden. You are? Vegapunk's eyes suddenly widened. Vegapunk might forget other people's appearances, but he would never forget the man in front of him, even if they had never met before. You are the scourge of the beast's pirates, Dr. Johann. Vegapunk shouted excitedly immediately. As a scientist, he was naturally very interested in this godlike man who surpassed himself in technology. But everything seemed to be a little unexpected. Isn't Yayu a scientist of the beast group? What is he doing here? Ah, what an honor. I didn't expect that the famous Dr. Vegapunk actually knows a little scientist like me. Yayu said jokingly. Vegapunk's eyelids twitched. Are you a little scientist? The space equipment has been manufactured, you are a little scientist, then what am I? How did you get here? There are all kinds of traps near my laboratory. Vegapunk narrowed his eyes and asked vigilantly. Before knowing the purpose of Yayu's visit, it is better to be careful. Ah? Just walked over here. Yayu was a little confused. I just activated Ghost Walk, I don't know what the so-called trap is. The reason why those traps were not triggered might be because of the hidden function of his Ghost Sprint. Evil scientist, if I hadn't activated Ghost Speed, I might have been hurt. All right. Vegapunk's eyelids stopped twitching, but the corners of his mouth twitched twice. Yes, with Yayu's brain, these trap systems of his can be easily cracked. Then why did you come here? You didn't come here on purpose to make fun of me for not being able to control your system. I'm warning you, this is the Navy's territory, you will die miserably. Vegapunk clenched his fists tightly, his eyes were bloodshot. You wouldn't do that, Dr. Vegapunk. If you could, you would have pressed the silent alarm a long time ago, right? Yayu narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at Vegapunk. The scientist's intuition told Yayu that Vegapunk had no ill will towards him. But, it seems like he's a little jealous of me? Idiot! Of course I would, we serve two opposing camps. Vegapunk, a roar. Yayu, as if he hadn't heard anything, walked towards the Vegapunk lab table, looking at the scattered materials on the table, as well as the note cursing the natural disaster on the table. A curve appeared at the corner of Yayu's mouth. Resurrection coin, the two missing conditions, I seem to have gathered them all. Haven't you heard the legend? Space was created by God. Vegapunk looked confused. God? I'm a scientist, and you're discussing theology with me? Yayu ignored Vegapunk's confused expression and continued to explain for Vegapunk. How can we synthesize technical equipment involving the divine realm using human technology? If you want to synthesize the basic materials of space equipment, you must let them synthesize naturally without adding any human effort. Only Sora can create it. If you think about it, you've already made a mistake. How about this? I'll give you one of my space technology theories to help you solve one of your problems. In exchange, how about you give me your bloodline factor theory? Yayu showed a bewitching smile. However, what Yayu said was true. Most of the technology in his system is beyond the comprehension of the human brain, such as the portal, which involves theology. This is also the important reason why Vegapunk cannot create a space machine. At the same time, Yayu's mind was also wandering. Could it be that there really are gods in this world? Gilu. A mouthful of saliva was swallowed down Vegapunk's throat. Give me a space technology theory? This sentence has always been in Vegapunk's mind, lingering. Vegapunk admitted that he was tempted. Even if space equipment was just one of the scientific technologies, it was a priceless treasure, not to mention the key technology for synthesizing materials for the portal. Moreover, how can a scientist not be excited about scientific theories that he cannot master? Space technology, however, is the most difficult technology in science and technology. Yayu used the entire technology to exchange for the bloodline factor, but it did not give him any advantage. However, Vegapunk is still being stubborn. Don't joke, Yayu, it's impossible for me to. Dong dong dong. At this moment, the door outside the laboratory suddenly rang. Dr. Vegapunk, there's a stranger breaking in. Did you see any strangers? Jean Doan, a rough voice came over. Chapter 33. I didn't see it, Sendaomaru, and don't disturb my experiment. Yes, Dr. Vegapunk, I'm sorry to interrupt your experiment. After just a moment's hesitation, Vegapunk excused Yayu. Yayu smiled, very satisfied with Vegapunk's answer, otherwise, he would definitely kidnap Vegapunk for the resurrection coin. I told you that you wouldn't report me, Dr. Vegapunk. Yayu said with a smile. Vegapunk was like a deflated ball. As a scientist, he was willing to defend his enemy for the sake of technology. It was obvious that this had proved how fascinated he was with Yayu's space technology. Well, you win, Yayu. But don't be complacent. After all, I used my masterpiece bloodline factor to exchange it with you. Vegapunk still looks like a proud old man. Yayu, keeping smiling, gave Vegapunk a chance. Of course, Dr. Vegapunk, we are exchanging equal amounts. I will also tell you without reservation how to use the Anywhere door and the technology to create synthetic materials. I am looking forward to working with you this time. The two scientists, for their own purposes, began their exchange in a special laboratory in Vegapunk. 12 hours later. Vegapunk was looking at a piece of wooden material on the laboratory table, with an ecstatic look on his face. Ha 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 ha. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Is there really a divine realm here? Using the thought of Sora, I actually created it. I have opened another door to a new world. Vegapunk said excitedly. Previously, I had been working behind closed doors and had been depressed about not making any progress on the space equipment. But now, all of that was gone. So, it's my turn next, right? Prove that your bloodline factor theory is correct. Yayu said lightly. Naturally, he was not worried that Vegapunk would deceive him. It would be more accurate to say that Yayu wanted to use Vegapunk's laboratory for free, saying that he was proving the bloodline factor theory. Please do it. At this time, Vegapunk was still immersed in the excitement of creating space materials. Walking into the laboratory and closing the door, Yayu began his own research and development. Vegapunk, who was standing outside the door, rolled his eyes. Humph, are you still afraid that I'll peek? What a stingy fellow. Located in Vegapunk's Envoy laboratory, Yayu directly started the system experiment. I have to say, Vegapunk's laboratory is 100 times more luxurious than mine. If you want to be rich, you still need the world government. Half an hour later. Ding! The resurrection coin has been repaired successfully. The host will automatically consume a resurrection coin and revive again at the cost of 1 life. Yayu showed a smile and left the laboratory very satisfied. You guy, I've told you all the bloodline factor theory, but it takes a little long to study. Yayu was happy in his heart. It seemed that this Vegapunk was still jealous of him. But, think about it, no matter who you are, you care about your title, right? The smartest scientist in the world? He was the one who shattered Vegapunk's title. It's been a pleasure working with you this time. Goodbye, Vegapunk. Yayu said very politely, and the next moment, he walked away and disappeared into the door. Any door? Just like that, he disappeared in front of Vegapunk. Vegapunk was so shocked that he couldn't help but scream. However, after being shocked, Vegapunk burst into laughter. From now on, the scientist who can create a door to anything includes him, Vegapunk. Ha 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 ha. Since I've already made the materials for the portal, all I have to do next is build it into a portal. Vegapunk was in a good mood, humming a little tune and continuing to work on his scientific research. 10 minutes later. Okay? What? We have already created synthetic materials, so why can't we create a door that can take you anywhere you want? Impossible. Is space equipment so difficult to manufacture? As time went by, the expression on Vegapunk's face became uglier and uglier, and the 2 tufts of white hair on his head became more and more decadent. By the time the stimulant wore off, Vegapunk had no idea what was going on and collapsed to the ground. Next, Vegapunk will sleep for 3 days and 3 nights. While Vegapunk was soundly sleeping, Yayu had already completed all the tasks that he had promised to the Beast's pirates. Yayu, holding the product he invented, stepped into the door. At this time, the entire elite of the Beast's pirates were gathered in a Nagashima, waiting for Yayu's arrival. Sitting in the center of the crowd, Kaido, the king of beasts, rarely showed a trace of worry. Come to think of it, this time, Dr. Yayu, the research and development time seems to be a bit long. Will there be any accidents? Quinn, who was standing by, took a puff of his cigar to calm himself down. Don't worry, Boss Kaido, we have seen the technological level of Dr. Yayu. Let's take a step back and say that even if the new invention fails, we can still build 2 more doors, so we won't lose anything at all. Kaido felt relieved after hearing this. That's true. 10 billion Baileys can be used to create 2 portals this time, and the cost is reduced by half. His own 100 Beasts pirates will now have 3 arbitrary doors. When they are fully opened, not only the top leaders of the 100 Beasts pirates, but even the entire legion of givers can be dispatched. This is a war in the true sense. At this moment, a door appeared out of nowhere above the ground. Fu Zifu, the sharp-eyed one exclaimed. It's out. It's Dr. Yeyu. Lord Calamity. It's Lord Calamity, he's out of the lab. Chapter 34. The other elites of the Beast's pirates also looked at the anywhere door with excitement, waiting for Yeyu to appear. They waited at the agreed location, Gaidao, early in the morning, with the purpose of seeing with their own eyes Yeyu's incredible invention. There are many pirates who, although in the Beast's pirates, have never witnessed Yeyu's invention with their own eyes, which is very regretful. This time, I have been waiting here for Yeyu for a long time. Taking a look at the new technological inventions can make up for my regret. As soon as he came out of the anywhere door, he was greeted by waves of shouts from Lord Calamity. Yeyu shook his head helplessly. It seemed that the Beast's pirates had quite a few fans of theirs. Boss Kaido, it worked. Yeyu looked at Kaido and reported the good news first. Ah la 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 la, Yeyu, you really have never let us down. Show us your new invention. Kaido was overjoyed, rubbing his hands, with a look of anticipation on his face. Yin and Quinn also approached Yeyu, wanting to see the new invention up close. Yeah, Dr. Yeyu. What's that new invention? You said last time that the new invention will greatly enhance the strength of our Beast's pirates and the entire legion. After all, they still didn't know what the new invention was, and Yeyu's curiosity was piqued. The other members of the Beast's pirates, due to their low status, could not watch from the front, so they had to stand on tiptoe and raise their heads to watch. Some people blame their parents. Why couldn't they give birth to them taller? This time, there were nearly 10,000 members of the Beast's pirates, and the scene was extremely spectacular, which was something Yeyu had never expected. After handing over the newly invented door, Yeyu took out a cloth bag from his waist and took out a green bean from it. This is the new invention, the green bean. It's called senzu beans. It only costs 1 million baileys apiece. Yeyu took out the fairy beans, and under the sunlight, the fairy beans emitted bursts of green light, like emerald. However, to Yeyu's surprise, the Beast's pirates, who had been in high spirits before, suddenly became a little quiet, and then after a short period of silence, there were bursts of whispers again. Originally, the members of the 100 Beasts Pirates heard that this invention could be popularized throughout the 100 Beasts Pirates and enhance their combat effectiveness. These middle and low-level pirates thought it would be some kind of invention of special weapons, and they all had great expectations. But they never expected that it was just a food. Food can only keep us from getting hungry. It won't be very useful in improving our combat power, right? If we don't have to worry about food. If we march like this, without having to worry about food and grass, it can be considered as a disguised way to improve the overall combat effectiveness, right? March, don't we have a portal? With a portal, why are we still worried about the march? The number of people who can activate the anywhere door in a short period of time must be limited. The lower level pirates simply can't get in line. This green bean is probably a low-end technology for the lower level like us to make up for the shortcomings of the anywhere door. Oh, I thought it would be some amazing invention, but when you think about 1 million baileys, such an invention is normal. At one point, almost everyone regarded Yeyu's invention as military rations that were easy to carry and would not cause hunger. At this moment, a man with a strong chest walked out from the crowd. Looking at the pectoral muscles of the man in front of him, even Yeyu couldn't help swallowing. Da. Yamato? She has long white hair, parted in the middle, with the hair on both sides hanging naturally down to her chest. She has a pair of red devil horns on the top of her head. The hair at the back of her head is tied into a ponytail, and she has golden earrings on her ears. The most eye-catching thing is the 2 giant white rabbits. Isn't this Yamato? Yeyu was just about to say hello to Yamato, but unexpectedly, Yamato spoke first. Kaido, that's enough. Tell me, how can this new calamity you just recruited be better than Odin? I told you I'm not interested in your natural disasters, but you still have to force me to come. After saying that, Yamato came in front of Yeyu, lowered half of his body, opened his chest and kimono collar wide, and took the senzu bean from Yeyu's hand. Yeyu was filled with emotion. This was definitely the largest model he had ever seen. I don't know what sizes are there in the One Piece world, breast photos. Yamato swallowed the senzu beans in one gulp and looked at Kaido. It's just a broken bean that has no function to improve combat power. The most it can do is to keep you from getting hungry. Kaido, you lose. It's a natural disaster. Look at what you treasure. I think it's nothing more than this. In my opinion, he is not even worthy of being compared with Kojiki Oden. Seeing that Yamato was so disobedient to him, Kaido felt as if his old father's heart was bleeding. The reason I asked Yamato to come this time was to see if I could use natural disasters to suppress Yamato and gradually replace Oden's position. As a result, Yamato gradually stopped thinking of herself as Oden and returned to being a daughter. If she was lucky, she would marry Yayu and give birth to a strong and smart grandson. Unexpectedly, Yamato's temper hasn't changed at all. The angry Kaido picked up the mace without saying much. This is how he always teaches his son a lesson. Thunder gossip. Yamato was slightly stunned, but the next moment, without hesitation, he took out the small mace in his hand and blasted it at Kaido. Thunder gossip. Yayu, who was standing aside, had a twitching mouth. Wow, as soon as he came out, he showed me such a famous scene of loving father and filial son. Chapter 35. The moves of both sides are basically the same, but it is obvious that in terms of combat power, the father is still better than the son. After severely injuring Yamato repeatedly, the furious Kaido found a flaw and directly used the Conqueror's Haki entanglement. He leaped high, with the domineering color wrapped around the mace, and smashed it heavily towards Yamato on the ground. Come down to the third life and lead Naraku. Boom. Tensei is my most beloved subordinate, and you, Yamato, are just my son. You have no right to question my subordinates. Looking at the ground, where Yamato was being beaten to death by her father, and the spider web-like cracks spreading on the ground, stretching for hundreds of meters. Yayu sighed with emotion. Kaido was really cruel. However, Yayu could naturally see Kaido's love for Yamato. If Kaido really didn't care about Yamato, he wouldn't have gone to the trouble to snatch the dog Inu fruit's mythical beast form and let Yamato eat it. It is even more impossible. Calling Yamato son instead of daughter shows that Kaido still respects Yamato very much, but, this guy Kaido doesn't seem to like to express it. Yamato obviously couldn't feel Kaido's love. He was lying on the ground with blood flowing from the corner of his mouth, staring at Kaido fiercely. The minions of the beast's pirates around were afraid to say anything. After all, this was the captain's family affair and it was not something they could interfere with. The atmosphere seems a bit awkward. Kaido seemed to have noticed this as well, pretending not to care at all. "Ah la 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 la. My son doesn't know the rules, I've already dealt with him. I hope you don't mind, natural disaster. This invention is also very good. Keep up the good work." "Also very good? Kaido, this is to comfort me." Yayu gave a bitter smile. Then, he took out another magic bean from the cloth bag. "Boss Kaido, I have to say a few words to you about this. Yamato is your daughter after all. As a father, if you don't know how to protect her, you are a coward. But if you don't know how to express your love, you are also a coward." After saying this, Kaido was stunned for a moment. Yamato, who was lying on the ground and dying, was also touched. Daughter? Time has passed so long that she has long forgotten that she is a woman. In other words, after so long, Yayu is the first person in Wano country who treats himself as a woman. No. I am Kojiki Oden, how can I be a woman? What was I thinking just now? Just when Yamato was trying hard not to think too much, Yayu had already come in front of Yamato, gently lifted Yamato's cheek, and put a bean into Yamato's mouth. "Eat it, and I will prove to you that your so-called broken bean has miraculous effects, Yamato-san." Yayu stared at the two pieces of white on Yamato's collar and said gently. "Still want to prove this bean? Well, let you give up." Gilu. Yamato directly swallowed the senzu beans in Yayu's hand. Yin and Quinn looked at each other directly. Could it be that this green bean really has other functions? Jack the Drought also looked over curiously. After all, Jack the Drought was the man who developed the portal. Could there be a turning point? The other pirates also looked over again, to see what changes would happen to Yamato after eating the bean. The next moment, bursts of green light suddenly lingered around Yamato's entire body. The scars on Yamato's body were strangely repaired at a speed visible to the naked eye, and even his skin returned to its original whiteness. The sunken bones caused by Kaido's mace gradually bulged out. Yamato, who had been lying on the ground and looking at Kaido with resentful eyes, suddenly sat up. Looking at his recovered body, Yamato widened his beautiful eyes with an incredible look. I actually recovered. And, it seems, full of energy. Yamato looked around, feeling his current state, and spoke in shock. Even his own mythical beast species Big Mouth true god form, no. It should be said that even Kaido's Azure Dragon form, the recovery ability is not even 1% of the recovery ability of Nithair Senzu Bean. Is this tiny bean so scary? The minions of the beast's pirates around were all shocked. They opened their mouths wide with exaggerated expressions of disbelief. A bean can actually restore the damage caused by Kaido boss to its original state. Yin took a long puff of his cigar, suppressed his surprise, and said in shock. Moreover, the recovery speed is less than a second. Isn't it outrageous? What kind of heaven-defying technology is used here? Seeing such a strange scene, Quinn's eyes almost popped out of his head in surprise. As a scientist, Quinn naturally understands better than anyone else how terrifying the technological value of these green beans invented by Yayu is. Even though the recovery ability of the animal-type devil fruit is already abnormal enough, compared with Yayu's senzu beans, it is not a technological product of the same dimension at all. Sometimes, Quinn was really curious about how Yayu's little head was structured and why it was so scary. He invented one thing after another, and each one was a god-level invention, which directly threw him, who used to be a scientist, out of the atmosphere. Jack and other pirates were even more shocked when they saw the scene. They stood there in a daze and couldn't move. Being uneducated, they could only brag. Is it so powerful? Lord Calamity's invention is too awesome, right? The key is that one bean only costs 1 million Baileys. If we give it to the gifter, everyone will have a chance to get one. Many middle and lower level members of the Beast's Pirates spoke excitedly one by one. Speaking of which, they also wanted to experience the magic door, but that kind of technology was not enough for them. Now, the members of this senzu bean only have 1 million Baileys for each one. If they work hard, they can still reach it. When they thought about the future when they would be able to personally enjoy Yayu's technology, they were all delighted. Even Kaido opened his mouth slightly, looking incredulous. The wounds on Yamato's body were caused by himself. No one knows better than himself how terrible these wounds are. Just now, in order to beat Yamato to the point where he lost his ability to move, he did not take into account the relationship between father and son, he really did not hold back. This recovery speed is even more terrifying than his own Azure Dragon form. If this was left to our beast's pirates, wouldn't they be invincible? Thinking of this, Kaido was so happy that he slapped Yayu on the shoulder and laughed. Ah la 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 la. Yayu, you have never let me down. It's really as you said. Now, the overall combat power of our beast's pirates has more than doubled. The pirates around took the opportunity to shout Lord Calamity, and the voices became louder and louder. It really can bring back the dying to life. I actually doubted Lord Tianze just now. It was totally wrong of me. Isn't Lord Calamity too strong? If anyone has these senzu beans, wouldn't they have the ability to recover better than Lord Kaido? Lord Calamity is simply a god. And Yayu, amid the cheers of the crowd, came in front of Yamato. How do you feel, Yamato-san? Yayu asked with a smile on his face. How dare you question your own technological capabilities? Are you impressed by my technology now? Just like I am impressed by your naturalness. Now, we are even. Remember, I am Kaido's son, not his daughter. Please don't call me Yamato-san anymore. You can call me Yamato-kun. I'm a man. Yamato did not answer how he felt about his physical recovery, but looked at Yayu and said stubbornly. Got it, Yamato-kun. Yayu looked as if he understood. Yayu knows how to be tolerant towards Yamato. After all, Yayu also wants to be tolerant by Yamato. In the eyes of others, this might be Yamato's tomboyish behavior, but in Yayu's opinion, isn't this just the psychology of a little girl who likes to be noticed and deliberately acts like a fool? The purpose is to attract people's attention and give more care. When Yamato saw Yayu, who was so tolerant of him, his cheeks turned red. Nothing, I'm leaving now. Looking at Yamato's departing figure, Kaido felt happy in his heart. Sure enough, his decision this time was right and it was not in vain to let Yamato come. Ah la 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 la. Yayu, besides being able to keep you full, the main function of this bean of yours is to heal the wounded. Kaido asked with satisfaction. That's right, Boss Kaido. In addition to being able to resist 10 days of hunger, heal wounds, and allow people to fully regain their energy, this senzu bean has another function. Another feature? Chapter 36. 1 million Bailey beans each, with so many functions, it's simply too powerful. The members of the Beast's Pirates all pricked up their ears and listened attentively. Yu also explained to everyone. There is another function. This bean can regenerate a person's severed limbs. Rebirth of a severed limb? The members of the Beast's Pirates around were all shocked again. Among them, Quinn looked ecstatic. I have a broken limb, and I say I like mechanical arms. This is all a lie, but I just want to save my face. If possible, who would want to be a disabled person? And Yu's senzu beans now give him a chance to return to normal. Quinn had unknowingly trotted in front of Yu, with a look of anxiety and anticipation on his face. Dr. Yu, my limbs have been broken for decades. Do you think they can be restored? If possible, can you give me a senzu bean? Quinn said expectantly. Don't worry, Quinn, there are 1,000 senzu beans. As for whether you can recover after being cut off for decades, you still have to try it yourself, Quinn. Yu took out another senzu bean and handed it to Quinn. He remembered the senzu beans in Dragon Ball, which stated that if an arm was broken for too long, it could not be restored. However, the senzu beans in his system did not mention this, so he was not sure whether it could be done. Simply put, the senzu beans that he created seemed to be stronger than Dragon Balls. The last one, which allows a dying person to be resurrected, is simply incredible. Since Yu was not sure whether it was really stronger than the senzu beans in Dragon Ball, he did not mention the last function. Now, we can see whether Quinn's severed limbs can grow back and do an experiment. Quinn carefully took the magic beans handed to him by Yu and swallowed them in one gulp without hesitation. Gulu. Well, it tastes pretty good. Then, a green light suddenly burst out above Quinn's body. Quinn, how do you feel? Yin, who was standing aside, looked at Quinn and asked curiously. I feel full of energy, but I don't seem to have any feeling in my broken limb. Sure enough, it's too long to. Before Quinn could finish his words, a series of clanging sounds came from inside his own mechanical arm. Quinn, who had a disappointed expression on his face before, was now so excited that his heart was in his throat. And many more. It's working. I can feel that my severed limbs seem to be growing. Located on Quinn's left hand, along with Quinn's newly grown flesh and blood, it continued to grow higher. The mechanical arm located on Quinn's originally broken limb was squeezed and fell off layer by layer. Soon, Quinn's entire arm fell to the ground, and his arm grew back in just a few seconds. It's out! It's out! Ha 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 ha, I wonder who will dare to laugh at me for being a disabled person when we fight next time. Quinn kept swinging his newly grown arms like a child playing with toys. It can be seen that Quinn was really happy this time. When the other members of the Beast's Pirates saw this magic scene, they all widened their eyes in shock. It's magic! Can you believe it? An arm grew out in just a few seconds. Is it really possible to regenerate after losing an arm? In this case, if I am seriously injured in a battle in the future, can I just pop a senzu bean and be resurrected right on the spot? Ha 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 ha! I can't wait to start a war with the other 4 emperors. As the captain of the Beast's Pirates, Kaido, was extremely excited. You are awesome, Yu. You are awesome. La 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 la. As he spoke, Kaido also asked for a senzu bean for Yu and swallowed it in one gulp. After a few seconds, the dense scars on Kaido's body were all restored to their original state. With this bean, our Beast's Pirates will be able to rule the world. By the way, Yu, you have made great contributions to the research and development of senzu beans this time. As a reward, you will be given a bonus of 1 billion Baileys. Although the Beast's Pirates are a little short of funds right now, there is nothing they can do. Yu, he has brought so much to the Beast's Pirates. Kaido himself felt it was unjustifiable not to reward Yu with some bonus. If you refuse the money given by your boss, it means you are looking down on him. Yu still respects the 4 emperors like Kaido. So, he directly accepted the bonus from Kaido. Thank you very much, Boss Kaido. I will definitely work harder in the future to develop new technologies. Yu gave a speech to express his gratitude for receiving the award, and then his eyes turned to the other minions of the Beast's Pirates again. Kaido and Quinn have both given themselves over 3,000 points as rewards. Next, I have to find a way to earn more points. So, Yayu looked at Kaido. Boss Kaido, we have produced a total of 1000 senzu beans this time. We will continue to manufacture in the future. Now, shall we distribute these senzu beans? Only in this way can we improve the overall strength of our beasts pirates. I have a small suggestion, that is, in this allocation, we should also take care of the brothers in the middle and lower levels. In fact, as a scientist of the beasts pirates, Yayu has no right to control how Kaido distributes it. As a boss, the most taboo thing is subordinates exceeding their authority. In simple terms, are you teaching me how to do things? However, Kaido had no such idea at all. Without Yayu, there would be no beasts pirates today, so he naturally has to respect Yayu's opinion. What's more, Kaido originally wanted to improve the overall combat effectiveness of the 100 Beasts Pirates to make up for the shortcomings of the 100 Beasts Pirates, which was the same idea as Yayu. Afterwards, Kaido looked at the crowd of pirates on Onigashima with a domineering look on his face. Listen carefully, this time, the natural disaster let you share the senzu beans because of your good. This time, I will distribute senzu beans 25, the 4 calamities will each receive 5, the 6 flying cells will each receive 2, the real fighter will receive, and the endower will receive. There will be some senzu beans left, which will be distributed to the ordinary pirates at the front according to their military merits. I've divided all the beans between us. You guys have to work hard with me in the future. For those pirates who didn't get any beans, don't worry. Lord Tianzai said that he will continue to produce beans. Kaido gave an order directly, and most of the pirates on the entire Onigashima island, who were elites, had red cheeks due to excitement after hearing Kaido's words. Those are the magic beans that can heal all injuries and regenerate broken limbs. Who would have thought that one day they would be able to enjoy them? Come to think of it, a big part of the reason why they were able to share the senzu beans this time was because of Yayu's suggestion. They couldn't help but have a little more respect for Yayu in their hearts. Chapter 37. Those pirates who were relatively weaker were not discouraged. On the contrary, they became more motivated. They were all thinking that if they could make more achievements in future battles and gain military merits, they would not have to worry about not getting senzu beans. Thank you Lord Kaido, thank you Lord Calamity. Great. Next time we fight, I'll have an extra life. I'm not afraid of anything. For the sake of senzu beans, I will work harder in future battles. I will try to get a share of Lord Calamity's battle next time. Yin, Quinn and Jack smiled at each other. They could see each other's excitement in their eyes. With their powerful fighting power, coupled with this incredible recovery ability, won't the 3 brothers be able to walk freely in the new world in the future? Even if he meets the 4 emperors, even if he cannot defeat them, he will not be afraid. 25 senzu beans, if you have the guts, then kill me, ha ha ha. Just like that, under Kaido's strict supervision, senzu beans began to be distributed. Each of the elite pirates of the Beasts Pirates received at least 2 senzu beans, and even ordinary pirates with a little bit of strength would receive 1 senzu bean. While the Beasts Pirates were busy distributing senzu beans, on the other side, on Cake Island, Big Mom was happily chewing a delicious cream cake. Mama mama mama! The cream cake is so delicious! On top of Big Mom's dining table, there was a newspaper from 3 days ago, which naturally reported on Big Mom's great achievements. The name of the title, The 4 Emperors Big Mom Rises, causes a big commotion in the Marine headquarters, and leaves in style. Nowadays, Big Mom's status in the New World has risen with the incident that caused a big disturbance in the Navy headquarters. Many pirates from the New World have come here to join her. The ant naturally knew that all this was thanks to the Anywhere door. Mama mama! It's only 100 billion Baileys, but it's definitely worth it. The Anywhere door has brought me much more than that. At this moment, Sparrow suddenly rushed in, holding a large lollipop and looking hurried. Mom, Mom! Something terrible has happened. Okay? Big Mom frowned slightly. I was eating happily, how dare Sparrow disturb me? Hey, Sparrow, didn't I tell you that unless something else is invented by a natural disaster, no matter what happens, don't disturb Mom from eating cake? You dare not listen. Auntie spoke with dignity. Mom! The reason I came here this time is because Tianzai has another new invention. After hearing Sparrow's words, Big Mom suddenly stopped chewing. You know, it's been less than 5 days since the last time we opened the magic door. Really? So fast? Auntie, a look of shock on her face. It's true, Mom. I didn't believe it at first. But this is the information from the pirate's informant you placed next to Kaido last time. A new invention called senzu beans. After taking it, you can heal any scars, and even regenerate a broken arm. The intelligence officer saw with his own eyes that after Quinn from the Beast's pirates ate a senzu bean, he grew a new arm. Sparrow, explained for the ant. Restore all scars and regrow broken arms? Even Big Mom, one of the 4 emperors of the New World, known as the Iron Balloon, cannot achieve this level of defense. The next moment, the fat body moved extremely flexibly across the dining tables and came in front of the Den Mushi. Quickly dialed the number to Kaido. On Onigashima, Kaido was supervising the distribution of senzu beans when Big Mom called. Seeing that it was Lingling's call, Kaido couldn't help but frowned. This Lingling, every time she calls, she either quarrels with him or asks him for something, and she always brings up the favors she had done before. To be honest, Kaido is a little annoyed. Could it be that he discovered a new invention developed by Tianze and wanted to buy it again? Is Lingling's intelligence so strong? However, I had to answer the call. After all, Lingling had taken good care of me before. Kaido had no choice but to answer the phone reluctantly. Lingling, what's the matter? I'm a little busy right now. If you have nothing else, we can contact you later. On the other end, Big Mom heard Kaido saying this to her as the first sentence after she answered the phone. She immediately became unhappy. You dog Kaido, we agreed to share happiness and hardships, but you didn't tell me that you had a new invention. I called you, but you still avoided me? This further proves the authenticity of the information about the new invention of the natural disaster. Maybe Kaido is giving out senzu beans to his subordinates right now. No. I must get this newly invented senzu bean, no matter how much it costs. Kaido, you bastard, stop pretending to be stupid. Tell me, your precious scourge, has he made any new inventions? Have you forgotten the kindness I showed you before? You must be the first one to rule over me in the future if you do this kind of good thing. Auntie said angrily. The corners of Kaido's mouth twitched for a while. Oh my god, it's just as I imagined, he's bringing up favors again. However, Kaido still felt that he had to take a gamble. What new invention? Lingling, I advise you to read less of this kind of unreliable news from the outside world. Do you really think our natural disaster is a god? In 3 or 4 days, I can give you the whole invention. Kaido just started to act stupid. The members of the Beast's pirates around heard Kaido's words and gave him a thumbs up one by one. Good job pretending, Boss Kaido. There weren't many senzu beans to begin with, and this time, with great difficulty, thanks to the advice of the natural disaster master, they were able to distribute some senzu beans to the lower middle level people. If they were taken away by the unreasonable ant, wouldn't they be crying to death? On the other side, Big Mom became even angrier when she heard Kaido was still pretending to be with her. Kaido. It seems that you have really forgotten my kindness to you. Your new invention is called senzu beans, which can heal wounds and regenerate broken arms. I have researched everything, and you are playing dumb. Do you really think my intelligence is vegetarian? Auntie, she roared with spit flying everywhere. Kaido was completely stunned. Damn it! Does Lingling, this old witch, have such powerful intelligence? However, on second thought, this invention could be obtained even by ordinary pirates, so it is not surprising that the news known by ordinary pirates would reach Big Mom. This. Lingling, I'm so sorry. I've already distributed the senzu beans to my subordinates. If we ask them for more, they will definitely be disappointed. Next time I have a new invention, I will definitely call you first. Kaido started practicing Tai Chi directly. Chapter 38. Stop talking bullshit, Kaido. No matter what, you have to sell me some senzu beans this time, as compensation for my previous care for you. Big Mom doesn't buy it at all, and Kaido is immediately in trouble. At this time, Yayu laughed, covered the Den Mushi, and started talking to Kaido. Boss Kaido, in my opinion, just sell it to Big Mom. After all, I want to develop new technology, but I have a huge funding gap. Also, as for senzu beans, I plan to produce 10,000 of them. In the next few days, at least 1,000 will be produced every day. This requires a lot of funds. 10,000. Jin, with his eyes wide open, looked at Yayu as if he was looking at a monster. Isn't it too evil? This is the magic bean that can allow people to regenerate after a broken arm, but why does it feel like, in Yayu's eyes, it's just like ordinary beans? If you want, you can get a handful of it. Drought Jack also swallowed hard. A rough guy like him may not quite understand the strategic significance of the Anywhere door, but he understands the value of senzu beans better than anyone else. Allowing the body to recover, broken limbs to regrow, and all physical strength to be restored, this means having half a life more than others during a battle. If there are 10,000 senzu beans, according to the current strength of the beast's pirates, every 3 people can get one. As long as anyone has a little bit of fighting ability, they will have a few more lives. It's simply too incredible. Ha ha ha. 10,000 of them. From now on, the combat power of our beast's pirates will definitely take off. Drought Jack said excitedly. Although Quinn didn't say anything, he had already started studying the tiny bean in his hand with a magnifying glass. To him, the senzu beans that cost only 1 million berries were something he could never develop. Incredible, it can be called a scientific miracle. This thing can improve the hard power of the beast's pirates. As the saying goes, a good blacksmith must have strong tools. To some extent, the senzu beans are even more powerful than the Anywhere door. Even Kaido, one of the 4 emperors, unconsciously opened his mouth slightly. 10,000, so many? Yayu, you are amazing. You produced so many at once. You really care about our beast's pirates. Kaido patted Yayu's face, his expression very excited. Yayu was also happy. Of course I have to make more, only in this way can I increase my points. Now, Kaido is no longer worried about the number of senzu beans, but instead is a little worried about the funding issue. Kaido has now realized that as long as there is funding, Yayu can come up with any invention for him. Now, the most important thing for the 100 Beasts group is to make money. My fellow boys, after you obtain the senzu beans, use the Anywhere door to cause trouble for me. On this sea, no matter how big or small the enemy force is, whether it's pirates or the navy, don't be scared. Remember, rob the money. What our 100 Beasts group needs most right now is money. Then, Kaido picked up the phone again. Ling ling. You want to buy senzu beans, I agree, but this time there are only 100. Kaido felt that he couldn't let his men down, so he decided to take out the 100 in his hand first. As for the price, Kaido looked at Yayu who was standing aside. A rough man like him really doesn't understand pricing, so he has to let the inventor Yayu decide the price. As for the price, considering that this time, I need to gain more experience and try to get Big Mom pirates to add tens of thousands of points for myself, there won't be too much profit. Just give me 10 times the profit. Who can blame me for being a born honest man? Big Mom, if you want to buy it, the senzu beans cost 10 million Baileys each. If you want to buy more in the future, you can get more. On the other side, when the ant heard Yayu's voice, she immediately smiled. Brother Yayu, thank you very much. 1 billion Baileys, I'll send them over right now. If you have senzu beans in the future, please let me know. We in Wanguo are not short of money. Auntie, with a smile on her face, tried to speak in a gentle tone. Yayu's mouth twitched and he got goosebumps all over his body. You know, Kaido told Big Mom. Kaido also suddenly frowned. It's brother Yayu again, and he's one of the rich men from your Wanguo. Isn't it too obvious that you want to poach people? Okay. Ling ling, bye. In order to prevent Big Mom from continuing to poach his employees, Kaido simply hung up the phone. However, Big Mom's call came again very quickly. Kaido suddenly became a little anxious. Even if I owe you a favor, I will still be anxious as long as it involves Yayu, okay? Hey, Kaido, use the Anywhere door to send the senzu beans over here. It happens that I also need to use the Anywhere door. Destination, Marine Headquarters. New World, Marineford, Navy Headquarters. Inside the huge naval building, Zhang Guo was holding a meeting in his office. Inside the office, Garp, Vice Admiral Tsuru, and Akainu were prominently present. Humph, asking Kizaru to attend the meeting is really putting him in a difficult position. Akainu said jokingly, a rare moment. In order to prevent a sneak attack from the Anywhere door, a general must be left behind to guard it, but Sengoku chose to stay behind. Aokiji and Kizaru went to carry out the task of escorting Tenjojin as requested by the Celestial Dragons. This also indirectly shows his own combat effectiveness level. Okay, Akainu, when Vegapunk develops the Anywhere door, Tenjojin can teleport directly through the Anywhere door, and you three admirals won't have to argue about who won't complete the mission. It can be seen that Zhang Guo is in a pretty good mood today. He recently received news that Vegapunk has already developed the synthetic material for the portal. Zhang Guo thought that with Vegapunk's scientific research level, it would not take long to develop the portal. But I'm afraid that Zhang Guo will never know until his death that Vegapunk was able to develop the synthetic material of the Anywhere door because of Yeyu's on-site guidance. At this time, Vegapunk was facing a lot of space projects, and he was overwhelmed and had no idea what to do. After hearing what Sengoku said, Akainu showed a slightly violent smile at the corner of his mouth. With the portal, wouldn't it be more convenient to kill pirates in the future? Garp also had some ideas in mind. If he pretended to enforce justice and then used the portal to go to the East China Sea for a stroll, he shouldn't be discovered, right? Just when everyone was thinking about their own things, an explosion suddenly sounded above Marineford, and then the alarm rang out throughout the entire naval headquarters. Damn it, Auntie just left a few days ago, who is it this time? Kaido. Akainu said coldly. Afterwards, everyone rushed to the glass of the Navy building to watch the situation outside. There were already many huge potholes on the entire Marineford, hundreds of sailors died tragically in them, and even several fortresses had caught fire. Above the sky, on top of the huge thundercloud, there were several people. When he saw the familiar face, Zhang Guo felt like cursing. You damned old witch, what on earth did our Navy headquarters do to provoke you? It never ends, does it? Chapter 39. Rumble. A thick bolt of lightning struck, leaving charred corpses all over the ground. Prometheus's huge fireball trapped the Navy in a sea of fire. The members of the Charlotte family showed off their special abilities and used their devil fruit abilities to play tricks on the Navy. Without the support of the admiral-level combat power, these Navy, like lambs to be slaughtered, screamed everywhere. Looking at this scene of hell on earth, the ant was extremely excited. Mama mama! So cool, so cool! Aren't you the best Navy guys? I didn't have enough fun last time, so I'm going to have some fun with you guys this time. The old lady curled her lips into a cruel smile. Last time, she was afraid of the three admirals, Sengoku, Garp and others attacking together, so she naturally did not dare to fight, which resulted in her not having enough fun. Now, it's different. I have the senzu beans now, and I can decide when to fight. Big Mom, stop it. This time, I will never let you run away again. When the Big Mom pirates were wreaking havoc wantonly, a voice came to their ears. Immediately afterwards, a huge ball of yellow light blasted towards the ant. Big Buddha shock wave. At the same time, Zhang Guo also quickly issued his orders. Get close to Big Mom as quickly as possible. We can't let that bastard Big Mom escape like he did last time. Once you get close to Auntie, quickly subdue her. Don't let her open the portal. The next moment, a gust of wind blew, and Akainu, Garp, and Vice Admiral Tsuru, three figures, disappeared from the spot. You see, as soon as Zhang Guo came, he used a big move on herself. The ant didn't have any fear at all, but became even more excited. Afraid that Katakuri and the others would steal her limelight, Big Mom turned around and gave orders. Just watch the Anywhere door. I'll take care of the rest. Afterwards, Big Mom activated her armament color, and with her own steel balloon physique, she was able to withstand the shock wave of Sengoku's Buddha palm. As expected of you, Sengoku. It hurts quite a bit, but what can I do? The ant said with a smile, her eyes teasing. Old witch, don't leave if you have the guts. After releasing an attack, Zhang Guo transformed into a giant Buddha and rushed towards Big Mom. Do not go. Soon, you'll back off and beg me to leave the marine headquarters, Sengoku. Without any fear, the ant turned the Napoleon hat on her head into a huge sword, and Prometheus attached to it. The hot energy emanating from the sword made the surrounding air seem illusory. The flame of the Blade Mother. The ant held the flaming sword tightly in both hands and blasted it towards the big Buddha form of the Warring States period. Zhang Guo was not idle either. Almost at the same moment, the yellow Buddha light on his body became brighter again, and he slapped the ant heavily with his Buddha palm. Big Mom, you're the one who's going to regret this. The two terrifying energies collided in an instant. A vacuum was formed in the center of the two people, and black lightning shot out from it. The huge collision sound resounded throughout the world. Rumble. The powerful aftermath, centered on the point of collision between the two, surged wildly in all directions. Under the powerful aftermath, the navy around them was directly blown into the sky by the terrifying gale. In the sky, due to the collision between the two men, terrifying lightning was formed. The sailors on Marineford looked at the horrific confrontation and opened their mouths nervously. I can actually fight against Marshal Jean Guo. Is this a 4 Emperors level warrior? Too terrifying. The key is that Big Mom has a portal, so she can leave whenever she wants. Our navy can't do anything to her. No. Look, it's Vice Admiral Garp and his men. Great, this old witch is doomed. At this moment, on the entire battlefield, Garp, Akainu, and Tsuru had already appeared behind Big Mom. Okay? Big Mom noticed the abnormality behind her with her observation haki and started to curse at the Marines. You damned Navy guys, you're trying to sneak attack me? You despicable fellows! Big Mom! When dealing with pirates like you, any despicable means are forgivable. A large amount of magma gathered on Akainu's fist, and he slammed it heavily towards Big Mom. Big Mom, you've been away from rocks for too long. Have you forgotten how terrifying I am? I'm going to arrest you and put you in the underwater prison. Iron Fist. Garp was not to be outdone. Big Mom just resisted Crane's attack, Akainu's giant magma fist, and Garp's iron fist, which hit her body heavily. The fat body fell rapidly, and finally hit the ground heavily, creating a hole several dozen meters deep on the ground. The ground cracked. Seeing such a scene, the entire navy was boiling with excitement. Ha ha ha. As expected of Vice Admiral Garp, he killed Big Mom instantly with just one move. This can be considered as revenge for our dead brothers. Big Mom, even if there is a door, you can't use it now. No one can break the dignity of the navy. Garp and others landed and surrounded Big Mom's pit to prevent her from escaping. Warring States also cancelled the giant Buddha form and walked to the edge of the huge pit, looking at Big Mom in the center of the pit with a proud look on his face. Humph, I told you so, Big Mom. You will regret this. Hand over the anywhere door, or I will execute your mother on the spot. Since Big Mom was seriously injured and controlled by them, Jean Guo then focused his attention on the anywhere door. High in the sky, listening to Sengoku's threatening words, Cracker, who was above Zeus, suddenly burst into laughter. Ha 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 ha. I told you, Katakuri-san, the Marines are just a bunch of idiots. Still threatening us? What can you do to Mom if you have the guts? Jean Guo was completely stunned. You want me to continue doing something to Big Mom? Do you think her injuries aren't serious enough? That was the combined attack of Iron Fist Garp and the most powerful admiral. Even the steel balloon can't handle it. Actually, they are acting out the scene of a loving mother and a filial son? Shouldn't it? According to the information, although Big Mom does not pay any attention to her own children, most of the children in Charlotte's family are still filial to Big Mom. What's more, they are the 4 generals who are highly regarded by the aunt. Katakuri, who was above Zeus, looked at Sengoku with contempt in his eyes. It seems that I overestimated Jean Guo's intelligence. Being stared at in this way made Jean Guo annoyed, but as a wise general, he quickly suppressed his anger. Anger will affect my judgment. After calming down for a moment, Jean Guo finally discovered some problems. Just now when Big Mom was attacked from behind by Garp and Akainu, Katakuri and the others clearly saw it, so why didn't anyone take action? They don't worry at all that Big Mom will get hurt. Katakuri is not that stupid to have absolute trust in Big Mom's own defense, right? So, what is the reason that makes them not afraid of the ant getting hurt? Just when Jean Guo was at a loss, a gust of wind was heard from the huge pit. Then, Big Mom, who had fallen to the ground, suddenly stood up again. Mama! A sneak attack from behind. Is this all the so-called naval hero and admiral can do? Big Mom stood up and mocked Garp and Akainu. Garp and Akainu's expressions suddenly changed. Vice Admiral He, who was standing by, saw that there was no scar on the old lady's body, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Is the defense of the iron balloon so terrifying? This defense is even more terrifying than Kaido's, right? Vice Admiral Tsuru said in surprise. Wrong. In the fight just now, I clearly seriously injured Big Mom. Even Kaido can't recover in an instant. That's domineering power. Garp, looking confused, screamed loudly. But, he couldn't tell where the problem was. Big Mom, why did the burning sensation in your abdomen disappear? Akainu's face changed drastically and he said in shock. In the battle just now, his magma broke through Big Mom's defense and burned Big Mom's body. There should be a large burn scar. Looking at these high-ranking naval officers who are usually high and mighty, now all looking so confused, Big Mom felt secretly happy. Mama. You don't even know this, you idiots. Of course my soul devil fruit has awakened. As long as my soul is not harmed, my body will always be invincible. Although he is quite old, he still has some childishness and starts to tease Zhang Guo and others. Sure enough, after hearing what the ant said, Zhang Guo's face became very ugly. The soul is immortal, and the body is eternal. Asshole! You're not really that perverted, are you? Chapter 40. Ordinary physical attacks can't hurt the soul at all, right? Akainu bit his back teeth hard. Damn pirate, I don't believe you are invincible. Afterwards, Akainu's entire arm suddenly turned into bursts of magma. It can be seen that Akainu is really angry this time. The huge magma on his arm has turned into the shape of a dog's head. This is Akainu's strongest attack. If used properly, it can even pierce half of the four emperor's face. Seeing that Akainu was about to use his ultimate move, Garp dodged and created an opportunity for Akainu. Iron Fist. Big Mom was not to be outdone. She wrapped her hands around the ultimate domineering color and charged towards Garp. The arms of the two men did not touch each other, and there was an extreme domineering aura in the hollow area, causing a surge of movement. All around, due to the fight between the two, strong winds blew and the sky became dark. It's now, Akainu. While Big Mom was busy fighting and had no time to defend herself, the huge Hades dog directly pierced through Big Mom's abdomen. Puff! A mouthful of blood spurted out of the ant's mouth. Seeing that his attack was effective, Akainu pinched his finger joints until they crackled, and came in front of Big Mom, looking very proud. Is this what you call invincible? Big Mom! How come after one punch, you can't stand up anymore? The next moment, the ant took out a bean from her waist pocket and chewed it directly into her mouth. Lieutenant General he standing by was slightly stunned, then his expression returned to normal. It's already this time, and you're still thinking about eating? Apparently, the rumors that Big Mom is a woman who craves food are absolutely true. Just follow us into the underwater prison, Big Mom. After Zhang Guo came to the ant and said this, he looked up at the sky again and thought about opening the anywhere door. And you, hand over the anywhere door quickly. If you try to seize the anywhere door by force, Katakuri and the others will definitely use it to disappear, so the best way to seize the anywhere door is to control Big Mom and use it to threaten her. However, no one noticed that just as Zhang Guo finished speaking, the ant suddenly jumped up and chopped towards Zhang Guo with the machete Napoleon in her hand. Wei Guo! Zilla! A shocking wound instantly appeared on Akainu's chest. A large amount of blood floated in the air, forming a strange arc. Akainu was knocked back several steps by the powerful slashing wave, and finally he half-knelt on the ground, covering his wound. This sudden scene made Marineford and the Navy officers freeze in place. Akainu! Admiral Akainu is seriously injured. How could this happen? How could this happen? Isn't Big Mom already incapacitated? Akainu, with a look of bewilderment on his face, looked up at Big Mom. Impossible! You've clearly been pierced through the abdomen by me, how could you still launch an attack? Wrong! Akainu suddenly discovered at this time that Big Mom's abdomen, which had been pierced by his own hellhound, had already recovered. What kind of ability is this? Akainu howled loudly, and for a moment, it was somewhat unbelievable. Seeing that Akainu was seriously injured by her sneak attack, Big Mom felt even happier. Mama! I told you a long time ago, didn't I? My devil fruit ability has awakened. Unless you severely damage my soul, your ordinary attacks will not hurt me at all. The corners of Sengoku and Garp's mouths twitched and they frowned. What Auntie said turned out to be true. Is it so scary? Even rocks had never found this terrifying ability so difficult to deal with. Faced with such abnormal abilities, they simply have no idea where to start, right? In the crowd, Lieutenant General he suddenly thought of something. A flash of light appeared in his eyes, and he shouted loudly to Zhang Guo and others. Wrong! It's that bean! Just now, all of you were paying attention to the sky door. I was the only one who noticed that Big Mom suddenly recovered after eating the bean. Lieutenant General he pointed out the problem immediately. Seeing how she was exposed, Big Mom snorted coldly. Navy Chief of Staff Crane, I didn't expect you to find out. But what can we do? This is a new invention of the natural disaster. As long as I have these beans, no matter how serious the injury is, even if I lose my hands and legs, I can be resurrected on the spot. Mama. What can you do to me? Zhang Guo and others were just stunned where they were. A bean, can it be possible that it has such great power? Akainu looked unwilling. I am a dignified admiral of the navy, but I was defeated by a bean. If this gets out, will I still have any face? After an inner struggle, Karp had no choice but to accept the reality. A natural disaster, another natural disaster. That bastard, has he come up with a new invention so soon? Zhang Guo suddenly thought of something, his face became solemn, and he felt a burst of panic in his heart. If someone can instantly heal injuries, and master this kind of thing, wouldn't it mean that they have several more lives than others? If this kind of thing is controlled by the 4 emperors, I'm afraid it will be a huge disaster for our navy. It is conceivable that if Kaido, Big Mom, and the 4 emperors took these beans and attacked the marine headquarters together, how desperate would the navy be when faced with the nearly immortal Kaido, Big Mom, and countless pirate elites, these undead legions? You can't kill them at all, but they can definitely wear you out. The mission has changed. Don't think about injuring Big Mom. Find a way to get the beans from Big Mom. As a wise general, Zhang Guo issued his orders at the first opportunity. Akainu was half kneeling on the ground, with veins bulging on his forehead. He endured the pain and stood up. Akainu, don't force it if it doesn't work, said Sengoku. Asshole. We must not let this rubbish pirate go. Our navy must get hold of that bean. Then, the armament collar attached to Akainu's fist and grabbed Big Mom. But this is a battle, and you're thinking of grabbing the beans around my waist? Big Mom just slightly stuck out her fat buttocks to avoid Akainu's palm, and then punched Akainu's head hard. Boom! In the instant of contact, Akainu's entire head came into close contact with the ground, creating a huge hole. All navy, listen to my orders, go grab the beans. Whoever grabs a bean will have his salary doubled. His military rank will be promoted unconditionally. At Zhang Guo's command, tens of thousands of navy troops rushed over. In the navy, it is still very difficult to get promoted, especially from a lieutenant general to a general. Nowadays, one can upgrade his rank just by snatching a bean, which has greatly inspired the morale of the sailors. Come on! It's time to change your destiny. What a horrible bean! We must get it and let Dr. Vegapunk study it carefully. In the sky, Katakuri, Smoothie, Cracker, and other members of the Charlotte family were not idle either. They launched their own attacks one after another, and the attacks were directed at the navy from all directions. Only then did they barely resist the rushing navy. Zhang Guo and others were not idle either. Karp, it's up to you. The two of them are a golden pair. They have worked together before to arrest legendary pirates like Golden Lion. It only takes one glance to understand each other's intentions. Afterwards, Zhang Guo directly transformed into the form of a giant Buddha, shining brightly. A series of Buddha palm shock waves smashed towards the ant. Although Big Mom has a strong observation haki, she was still accidentally hit by a Buddha's palm shock wave when facing the desperate Marine Marshal Sengoku. Take advantage of now, Garp! Zhang Guo, with a serious expression, roared loudly. The next moment, Garp suddenly started his shaving and reached towards the ant's waist. Within Garp's field of vision, the bag containing the senzu beans was getting closer and closer to his hand. 1 meter. 1 decimeter. 1 centimeter. 1 millimeter. Bang! A giant armed fist smashed heavily into Garp's forehead. Faced with the navy's shameless theft, Big Mom simply took out some senzu beans from her cloth bag with one hand to eat at any time, and used the other hand to deal with the thieves. It's like playing whack-a-mole. Seeing that even Garp, who defeated her old Captain Rox, had his head smashed into the ground in front of her, and a huge bump appeared on his head, Big Mom was extremely excited. Mama! Captain Rox, did you see that? This can be considered as revenge for you, ha 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 ha. Chapter 41. The old lady was standing there, actually dancing with joy. She was feeling even happier than if she had eaten the cream cake. She hasn't experienced this for a long time. Vice Admiral Crane, who had been watching the battle from the side, did not take any action. Instead, he stood still and suddenly moved his fingers silently. On the other side, in order to hit Big Mom, Zhangguo released too many Buddha palm shock waves, and the big Buddha form could no longer be supported. Asshole Big Mom! In that case. The next moment, Zhangguo also joined the army to snatch the senzu beans. The two of them only had one thing in their minds, and that was to snatch even one senzu bean. As for getting beaten and injured, I don't care at all. There is no other way. As long as the senzu beans exist, attacking Big Mom will be of no use at all. However, their goal is to steal the senzu beans, but there is also a problem. That is, all their flaws were exposed in front of Big Mom. Looking at the back of Sengoku and Garp's heads, Big Mom was having so much fun beating them. Bang! Bang! Popping! Popping! So much so that in the end the auntie not only used her fists, but also used slaps, which were not very harmful but extremely insulting. Mama! Whack-a-mole is so much fun! Sengoku, Garp, these are legendary figures in the navy, and now they have been slapped by my aunt. Mom! When the newspaper in Morgan's publishes it, I wonder who will dare to say that I am the weakest of the 4 emperors. Your 4 emperors can do it. Facing 2 legendary marines, Garp and Sengoku, he slaps them like they are children. These words deeply pierced the hearts of Sengoku and Garp. Fortunately for Zhangguo, as a wise general, he could still maintain some rationality. Garp, I just can't stand it. Asshole! Big Mom! Don't underestimate the justice of the navy. The next moment, Garp directly targeted Big Mom, overdrew his physical strength, and threw her to the ground. The spinning sea is falling. Big Mom spun in the sky for a while, and then fell to the ground. 100-meter deep pit was smashed out, and near the pit, densely packed cracks appeared, like a spider web. Call! Call! After doing all this, Cap's breathing began to become rapid. Did he faint? In that case, we are victorious, right? Sengoku. However, the next moment, Big Mom, who was in the pit, stood up again and gave Garp an impromptu mocking dance. Mama! I have senzu beans in my hand. There is no way you can defeat me, Garp. Cap's face looks as ugly as if he had eaten shit. Recovered again? Facing an opponent like Big Mom, he really has no way out. I can't kill you even if I hit you, and you can be resurrected at any time. Trying to grab senzu beans, but unable to grab them, can only be slapped. Unless they could kill Big Mom instantly, they would see no hope of winning. But, do you want to kill the ant known as the Iron Balloon instantly in one go? Even their legendary navy can't do it. Zhangguo's face became extremely solemn. The current situation seems to be somewhat unfavorable to the navy. Kizaru and Aokiji go on a mission. Akainu, who was already injured, was hit hard on the back of the head and fell into coma. The 3 admirals were of no use. Both myself and Garp have already consumed a lot of energy. The Navy's advanced combat capability has been severely damaged. If the fight continues, the Navy headquarters may even be wiped out by the Charlotte family. That would be such a shame. It would be a disgrace that would be recorded in the history of the Navy, and as a marshal, my reputation would definitely be ruined. Seeing that Sengoku and Garp wanted to kill her but were helpless, Big Mom became even more arrogant. What happened? Didn't you want the senzu beans in my hand just now? Why are everyone so obedient now? Come on, the senzu bean is in my hand. If you have the guts, why don't you take it away? Auntie, said jokingly while staying in the same place. Garp's face turned pale and he wanted to step forward, but was pulled down by Sengoku. Garp! Don't act rashly. We haven't found a way to crack it yet. Going up like this will only waste our energy. In addition to healing wounds, the senzu beans also have the powerful ability to restore physical strength. Zhangguo said viciously, gritting his teeth. At this moment, Zhangguo felt so disgusted with Big Mom and so shocked by Yayu's technology. Although I don't know how Big Mom obtained the technological products of 100 Beasts, I have to say that Calamity is the scariest person, right? The Anywhere door was just developed, and the Navy has not yet successfully replicated it. On the other hand, the more terrifying senzu bean was created in just a few days. These are all incredible technological products that cannot be understood by common sense. This scientific research ability absolutely crushes Vegapunk. After hearing Sengoku's dissuasion, Garp stopped his conflict. Zhangguo was right. They had been fighting for such a long time, but Big Mom didn't show any sign of being tired. It was obvious that the green bean was the cause. Yeah, you, right? It's best not to let me catch you, otherwise, I will definitely give you a series of punishments. If it weren't for your senzu beans, how could I, Garp, be unable to do anything to a mere fat woman? She saw that no matter how she mocked him, Sengoku Garp was like a salted fish, motionless, and the ant found it very boring. You Navy guys are really a bunch of cowards. But the next moment, looking at the helpless expressions of Garp and Sengoku in the face of her, Big Mom suddenly came up with a bolder decision. Since you won't do anything, how about we, the Big Mom pirates, take action? Take down the entire marine headquarters? If so, I will definitely become a figure on par with Pirate King Roger, right? Mama. After hearing the ant's words, Cracker, who was in the sky, was very excited. Mom, if this happens, our Big Mom pirates will become famous all over the world. Ha ha ha. The other members of the Charlotte family also laughed wildly. They really didn't expect that one day, they, the pirates, would be able to directly take down the overlord of the sea. Among the sailors, panic spread rapidly like a plague. Seeing the terrified looks of the Navy men, Big Mom became even more cocky. Mama. Today is the day for Big Mom's pirate group to become famous. You guys, tear these marines into pieces. Just when the war was about to break out, Vice Admiral Tsuru, who had not taken any action, suddenly smiled. Big Mom. You are too careless. The next moment, a transparent soap bubble suddenly approached the cloth bag containing the magic beans on Big Mom's waist. Bang! There was a loud noise, and the ant's bean bag was blown to pieces. The senzu beans were also blown into pieces and scattered on the ground. My senzu beans, my senzu beans. Asshole! Crane! You actually used the power of your washi-washi fruit while I was fighting. The ant was furious. If she hadn't been too excited and proud, and if the fruit was difficult to detect after washing, she would never have made such a low-level mistake. Chapter 42. Garp and Sengoku looked at each other, and the next moment they attacked Big Mom without any hesitation. The reason why they are afraid of Big Mom is because she has senzu beans in her hands. Now, there is no fighting, even if they are exhausted, they are not something that Big Ant can defeat. Without the senzu beans, Big Mom was in a panic and didn't know what to do. In the sky, Zeus discovered that Big Mom was in danger and rushed over in a hurry. Mom! Go! Zeus! Big Mom looked unwilling, but without the senzu beans, she knew exactly how much she had. Keep the green hills and don't worry about running out of firewood. Senzu beans, yeah, you said that if you want to buy them in the future, there are plenty. Asshole! Navy, just wait for me. Next time, I won't be so easy to deal with. After leaving a cruel remark, Big Mom rode on Zeus and disappeared into the anywhere door. As soon as Big Mom left, Garp and Sengoku's attack came. Rumble! A large amount of dust was directly exploded, blasting several feet high, and a cloud of smoke filled the sky. However, when the smoke cleared, they realized that they had missed again and had only hit a lonely target. The hot-tempered Garp clenched his iron fists tightly. Veins appeared on his forehead and he was very angry. Until now, his face still feels burning with pain. Asshole! Big Mom! This time, she escaped again. Our navy has really lost face this time. We're not done yet. Big Mom! Garp's eyes seemed to be able to shoot out flames. After a lot of effort, the problem of the senzu beans was solved, and there was a portal again. Garp, he has never felt so aggrieved in his life. Zhangguo also had an ugly look on his face, as if he had eaten shit. Damn it, the Scourge's technology is too horrible. In the face of natural disasters, even our navy is helpless. Rather than taking revenge on Big Mom, Sengoku is more worried about natural disasters. This is the root of the problem. Garp, Sengoku, don't worry. I have weakened the power of my bubble bomb just now. Look, there are several senzu beans that are intact. Vice Admiral Tsuru found a scattered, intact senzu bean from the grass and said with a smile. What? After hearing Vice Admiral Tsuru's words, both Sengoku and Garp were shocked. Xiaohe, I really need your help this time. As expected of you, the Navy's Chief of Staff. Sengoku also spoke to the Navy. Everyone, come here and pick up senzu beans for me. For a moment, a funny scene appeared in the Navy headquarters. A group of Navy men who were usually dignified were now hunched over, looking for something. If someone who doesn't know the situation finds out that what they are looking for are just beans, they will be surprised. 10 minutes later. Looking at the 5 intact battle balls in his hands, the haze in his heart before the Warring States period was swept away and he was overjoyed. There are 5 of them. These little things are the hope of our navy. He pointed 5 magic beans towards the sky. Under the sunlight, the beans emitted bursts of green light. Looking at these magic beans, Zhang Guo said with satisfaction. Ha ha ha. Great, Zhang Guo, give me one. I really need this. Garp rubbed his hands together, his face full of longing. Garp does not have the ability of a devil fruit and relies entirely on physical strength to fight. For him, these senzu beans will definitely be a god-level help in future battles. Garp, who has half an extra life, will fight you to death. Are you afraid? I'm sorry, Garp. Although we have a good relationship, the senzu beans are extremely important and I absolutely cannot give them to you. How about this? 2 will be given to Vegapunk for experimentation. The remaining 3 will be kept by our navy. Extraordinary ones must not be used unless absolutely necessary. Zhang Guo spoke seriously. Tisk. You're so stingy. Garp, picking his nose, complained. You've been my good friend for decades, and you can't even be flexible? Vice Admiral Tsuru also had a smile on his face. Garp, please don't make things difficult for Sengoku. This thing is the future of the navy. I hope Vegapunk will be reproduced. At this time, Garp noticed Akainu dying on the ground. Once again, I came up with another idea. Sengoku, Akainu is also considered a work-related injury. And looking at Akainu's condition, he won't be well for half a month. The navy can't be without an admiral, right? Let us open our eyes and see if Akainu, who has fainted, can recover. Sengoku thought about it for a moment, and this time, did not reject Garp's proposal. Row. Just treat it as an experiment to see if these magic beans have any other effects or side effects. After all, you can't trust everything Big Mom says. Afterwards, Sengoku came in front of Akainu and prepared to do an experiment. All of you, take some photos of this scene for Vegapunk to reference. After saying that, Sengoku put the senzu beans into Akainu's mouth. Gilu. The next moment, green light appeared from Akainu's body. Akainu, whose head was buried in the ground just now, suddenly sat up. Big Mom! Where's Big Mom? I'm going to kill her. There were crowds of people all around, looking at Akainu as if he were a guinea pig. Forward! Where's Big Mom? Did I just pass out? Akainu, a look of bewilderment. That's right, Akainu. Big Mom has already run away, but that doesn't matter. You just ate the senzu beans. Tell me about your experience. Did you feel any discomfort? Fairy beans? Those green beans that Big Mom ate before? The navy actually got it. Now, aren't the navy stronger? Next time I face a guy like Big Mom, I won't be helpless. Reporting to Marshal Zhang Guo, I don't feel any discomfort, and my previous scars seem to have recovered. What? Previous scars? Garp, regardless of whether there were any female soldiers around, directly pulled off Akainu's clothes and checked. Sengoku. It's just as Akainu said. Cap, a look of surprise. The recovery ability far exceeded everyone's expectations. In addition to healing my scars, I feel my physical strength has also been instantly restored. There are no side effects. Zhang Guo nodded. From this perspective, the senzu beans were pretty much as he had guessed. At this moment, an old man wearing sunglasses, with a sturdy build and a mechanical arm, led a group of young marines and suddenly came jogging over. Where's Big Mom? I was training new students nearby, and when I heard that Big Mom was coming, I rushed over. Garp looked at Zephyr and curled his lips. He ran away a long time ago, Zifa. So what are you guys gathering here to study? I thought you had captured Big Mom. Zifa was very disappointed. Big Mom has repeatedly destroyed the Navy headquarters, and last time she used the aftermath to kill one of his freshmen. Zephyr hates Big Mom to the core. So, Vice Admiral Tsuru directly told Zifa about the senzu beans? What? Can it heal any wound? Big Mom even said that even if your legs and feet are broken, they can be healed. Zifa looked at the green beans in Zhang Guo's hand and opened his mouth in the shape of a European in surprise. No matter who you are, when you hear about this kind of thing for the first time, you will think it is a fairy tale, right? However, he had also heard of Yayu's name. That terrifying technologist actually developed space equipment. If it was a natural disaster, this invention would be really convincing. Zifa swallowed and said in shock. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll go to Vegapunk in person. Sengoku waved his hand and prepared to hand over all the senzu beans and the experimental videos, hoping that Vegapunk could master the technology. Just as Zhangguo had taken 2 steps, Zifa suddenly had an idea and grabbed Zhangguo, who was about to leave. Marshal Zhangguo, can you please give me a senzu bean? Chapter 43. Zhangguo's eyelids twitched twice. It's okay for Garp, but now, how come even Zephyr is so ignorant? This is the future of the Navy, not just some ordinary bean for eating. Can you just take it? Instructor Zifa, what do you want the senzu beans for? There are only a few of them. I used 1 for the experiment, gave 2 to Vegapunk for research and development, and if I give you 1 more, our Navy will only have 1 senzu bean left. It is of course impossible for the Warring States period to give Zifa the senzu beans casually. At least he should ask Zifa what he will use it for. Marshal Zhangguo, didn't you just say that this senzu bean has the powerful ability to regenerate severed limbs? You know how much of an impact breaking this arm has on me psychologically. Please, give me a senzu bean too. Then, maybe my arm can be healed. Behind the sunglasses, Zifa's eyes were a little moist. Forehead. After hearing what Zifa said, Zhangguo recalled Zifa's past. Zifa is an old sailor, but a few years ago, he was killed by that terrifying pirate, and almost all of his beloved students on the training ship. At the same time, Zifa also lost his arm. But even so, after experiencing such a severe blow, Zifa still cares about the Navy and strives to train new students for the Navy and supply a steady stream of fresh blood. Zhangguo really admired what Zifa did. Zhangguo clenched his teeth, looking very heartbroken. Okay. I'll give you 1. This is just 1 instance. No one is allowed to ask me for senzu beans again. After saying this, a magic bean was placed in Zephyr's hands. Zifa, without hesitation, swallowed it in 1 gulp with trepidation. The nearby Navy all looked over curiously. Although Big Mom said during the battle that these magic beans can regenerate severed limbs. But no one has seen it. Who knows if what the aunt said is true? Now, Zifa, it can be said that he is giving everyone an experiment. Anne, Zifa's beloved disciple standing behind him, is still in a daze. Green beans, can they regenerate broken limbs? Why does this sound so sci-fi? Teacher's arm has been severed for so many years. Can it really be restored? Although she was a little bit unconvinced, Anne still silently prayed for Teacher Zifa in her heart. Teacher Zifa, you must succeed. Sengoku also ordered his men to film the process of Zephyr eating the senzu beans for Vegapunk's reference, and then he turned his eyes to Zephyr. Suddenly, a green light emerged from Zifa's body, and then fresh flesh and blood began to grow on the wound of Zifa's broken arm. The sea stone weapon on his broken arm was squeezed by the newly grown flesh and blood and fell to the ground. A crisp sound sounded. Bang! The new flesh and blood seemed to have life. The flesh, bones, and skin extended all the way to the fingers, and finally a brand new arm completed its rebirth. Zifa looked at his newly grown arm and was so excited that he almost fell to the ground. Behind his sunglasses, a salty tear quietly flowed down. My arm! It's really recovered! Zifa waved his arms and exclaimed. When using the new arm, there was no sense of conflict, as if his arm had never been broken. Anne, who was behind Zifa, rushed over and hugged her teacher. That's great, Mr. Zephyr. I didn't expect that this green bean has such great energy. That calamity from the beast's pirates is really not an ordinary scientist. Sengoku, Garp, and other Navy officers all had joy on their faces. Congratulations, Instructor Zifa. Everyone cheered for Zifa. And Zhangguo also quickened his pace and headed to Vegapunk's laboratory. Senzu beans, their power is simply too terrifying. They must not be controlled by pirates alone. Whether it's the Anywhere door or the senzu beans, our Navy wants them all. At the moment when Big Mom was causing trouble in the Navy, the entire 100 Beasts pirates, the pirates who had obtained the senzu beans, had also started causing trouble all over the world. In the New World, on Ghost Island, Yayu directly entered his own system. The entire Beasts pirates are fighting in various parts of the world, and it is inevitable that they will use senzu beans to heal their wounds. The senzu beans produced are almost used up, so their own points are naturally endless. Taking into account the senzu bean points eaten by Akainu, Big Mom, Zephyr, and other strong men, Yayu's points have now reached exactly 100,000. Now that the amount has reached 100,000, let's open the prize decisively. System, enable the 10 consecutive draw of diamonds for me. Ding! The host's will is detected, and the diamond 10 draw sequence is now open. Congratulations host, extract physical attribute points. Congratulations host, you have drawn sword points. Congratulations host, you have mastered all 6 styles of the navy. Ding! Armament Haki has been upgraded to a high level. Targeting Old Garp. The Conqueror's Haki has been upgraded to a high level. Against Red Hair. Congratulations to the host, you have extracted the Flash Devil Fruit. The Flash Devil Fruit has been automatically awakened. Congratulations to the host, draw, dodge 20 points. Ding! Congratulations to the host, you have obtained the Invincible Golden Body, limited number of uses. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Space Flash, limited number of uses. Ding! Congratulations to the host, you have obtained the Diamond Treasure Chest. Looking at his box full of rewards, Yayu swallowed his saliva. Sure enough, I worked hard to accumulate 100,000 points to exchange for a Diamond 10 draw. My decision was right. With so many rewards, Yayu feels that his combat power is about to surpass the Emperor. You know, apart from basic physical fitness and swordsmanship, Yayu Guang's domineering aura has all reached a high level. Advanced Haki has its own counterpart in this world. Observation Haki matches Katakuri, Conqueror Haki matches Red Hair, and Armament Haki matches Garp. Just by waving these 3 colors of domineering, apart from anything else, his combat power is definitely above Kaido, right? Isn't this the rhythm of a super emperor? Keep reading, the Shining Devil Fruit awakens directly after extraction, it is worthy of being a Diamond 10 draw, full of conscience. If you look further down, it's even more outrageous. A total of 20 dodge points were drawn, plus the previous 5 points, now my dodge points have reached 25 points. In other words, no matter whether you have swordsmanship, haki, or devil fruit abilities, you can block all attacks yourself. You can dodge once out of 4 attacks without getting hurt. This ability is absolutely amazing. If she uses it well, she could easily dodge Yumo's move that could destroy an entire island, regardless of whether it was her own strength or technology. Even if it is an attack from the Heavenly King, the first of the 3 major weapons, if I am lucky, I can withstand it. Dodge point, it's definitely a good thing. I'll have to continue to draw the lottery in the future and try to get it full one day. When the day comes, I will be able to pee on Im's head and make her call me daddy. Yayu nodded with satisfaction. Yayu also clicked on the other 2 new skills, Invincible Golden Body and Space Flash. Invincible Golden Body, after using it, the user can transform into a golden body for 3 seconds, during which time they cannot move and can resist all attacks from the world. Limited to 1 use per day. Space Flash, the user can move to any location within 1 kilometer in an instant. Limited to 1 use per day. Needless to say, these 2 items are bug abilities that do not belong to the world of pirates. The Invincible Golden Body can dodge all damages in 3 seconds, which can be called a magical defensive skill. In Yayu's opinion, this defensive ability is second only to the moment when his dodge points are maxed out. After all, even if it is a barrier devil fruit, it can be broken as long as the attack is strong. However, with his golden body, even if a meteorite hits this planet, he will not die during his invincible period. The space flickered, and on the surface, it seemed to be just a surgical operation of Luo's. But, that is absolutely not the case. First of all, Law's displacement must be replaced by something. Secondly, Law's surgical devil fruit is still affected by domineering and may not be able to be used. Your own flash can ignore any interruption. Even if you are controlled, you can still use flash. Another, more important point is that one's own flash can move to any location within 1 kilometer. In other words, if one takes out the sword and makes an attacking posture, as long as one is willing, and the armed color is not weaker than the enemy, one can use a flash and the sword will directly penetrate the enemy's body. Finally, there's a diamond chest. This reward is something Yayu had never known about before. Moreover, based on Yayu's previous experience in lotteries, the last reward is usually the highlight, and Yayu is looking forward to it more and more. System, open the diamond treasure chest. Chapter 44. Ding! To open the diamond treasure chest, you need a treasure chest key. The host is not detected to have a treasure chest key, so the opening failed. Yayu's mouth twitched. Is this such a scam, system? Give the treasure chest but not the key? Yayu was speechless for a while. However, overall, the gains were fruitful. As for the treasure chest key, after Yayu checked the system explanation, he also found that it could not be purchased in the mall. It must be opened by a draw of diamond 10 or above. There is no rush. Anyway, now, I still have 10,000 senzu beans that have not been produced. When I have enough points, I can just draw the lottery again. Just as Yayu was thinking, the system's pleasant prompt sound rang again. Ding! Checking the host's combat capability, reaching the king level. The bounty combat power assessment is 55 billion Baileys. Note, the bounty combat power assessment is an estimate and is for reference only. King level? This gave Yayu a pleasant surprise. Unexpectedly, my evaluation of myself, Super Emperor level, is still a bit of an underestimation of myself. He directly jumped 2 major levels and was promoted from Vice President to Pirate King. Is this the power of the Diamond 10 draw? If I continue to accumulate points and reach more than 1 million. Zi. What happens in the future will be beyond my imagination. What lies beyond this is an unknown realm. Perhaps in the world of pirates, only the god can understand how powerful one is beyond the level of Pirate King. But then again, his bounty is comparable to Roger's. So, what the system means is that my current combat power has reached the peak Roger level. Of course, Yayu also understood that the bounty could not fully represent a person's combat effectiveness. If I don't count the abilities that don't belong to this world, such as dodging, flashing, and invincible golden body, my combat power may be higher than Roger's. However, if these bug abilities are not taken into account, Yayu feels that he is still a certain distance away from the peak Roger. After all, Roger's 3 colors of domineering power have probably reached an advanced level, and his physical swordsmanship is definitely better than his own. Although he has 2 devil fruits, compared to Roger's combat experience, the two probably cancel each other out. In general, Yayu's evaluation of himself is that when he uses his full combat power, he is above Roger. Without the abilities that are not part of the pirate world, he is slightly inferior to the peak Roger. If I want to become more powerful in the future, such as obtaining unknown ultimate domineering rewards, it seems that I still have to start the Crown 10 draw contest. In your own mall, the most that you can do is to improve your domineering skills to an advanced level. It seems that I have to speed up the accumulation of points a little bit these days. Even Yayu felt that the points created for him by relying solely on the entire beast's pirates were no longer enough to satisfy Yayu's appetite. I have to find a way to get all the major forces in the world to give me points. Yayu thought for a while. The next moment, the door opened and Yayu entered directly. In the entire Ghost Island, only Yayu can enter directly at any time without reporting. This is the privilege Kaido gave to Yahana. Yayu just came out of the Anywhere door and saw the horrifying scene on Ghost Island. I saw a powerful thunder unicorn roaring in the sky. Immediately afterwards, billions of volts of electric current instantly fell from the sky and fell into the sea. In an instant, the entire sea became turbulent as if it had experienced a typhoon, and the waves alone were dozens of feet high. Sizzle! Sizzle! There is no end in sight, and the entire sea is filled with the power of thunder and lightning. Sure enough, if Kaido uses it, it is much more powerful than Nezu's Thunder Kirin. Yayu exclaimed in admiration and then entered the haunted house. It's Yayu, la 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 la. Thanks to your lightning chakra training method, my lightning power is now more than 10 times stronger than before. Kaido held up 10 fingers and said excitedly. Boss Kaido, from now on, you only need to send someone to get the senzu beans. Next, I will go back to the laboratory and continue my research. It will probably take another 3 or 4 days to get out. Only a few hours have passed, and we already have to go into the laboratory to develop new inventions? Kaido was very satisfied with Yayu. Look, this is the world's top inventor. Who among you has this meticulous, work-intensive scientific spirit? Ah, la 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 la, thank you for your help, Dr. Yayu. Kaido said excitedly. That's it, Boss Kaido. Please deliver the delicious food and wine to me within half an hour. After that, I will go into seclusion. Nowadays, Yayu has become more and more proficient in experimental operations, and can spare a lot of time after experiments. It is indeed a bit boring without delicious food and wine to accompany him. If he wasn't worried about affecting his image as a scientist, Yayu would have almost said, "Send your daughter over so I can play with her." "This is natural, Dr. Yayu. I still have 10 billion in funds. I'll transfer it to you right away. If it's not enough, you must ask for it," Kaido said happily. "Well, thank you very much." Yayu nodded with satisfaction and left the haunted house. Speaking of which, Kaido is getting more and more sensible. Before I even asked for funds, Kaido directly gave me 100 billion belly. This was unthinkable in the past. However, after Yayu left, Kaido's kind face disappeared. He left the haunted house and went to the Beast's Pirates camp, and once again returned to his usual irritable side. The funding gap is 30 billion, let that guy Orakai pay for it. And, my friends, don't stop. Use the Anywhere door and Senzu beans to plunder the wealth of this world. Whether it's the 4 emperors, the navy, or the 7 warlords of the sea, don't let any of them go. Ah la 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 la, our Beast's pirates are the strongest. Kaido grinned, and the aura of a king on his body instantly rose steadily. The dark clouds in the sky were attracted, and the atmosphere around him became oppressive in an instant. After receiving Kaido's orders, the surrounding minions, one by one, shouted and clamored with weapons in hand, and stepped into the door one after another. Bulu bulu! Bulu bulu! Just at this moment, my aunt's phone suddenly came. Kaido frowned slightly. "Lingling, why did you call me again? It must be something bad." These days, Kaido is annoyed to death by Big Mom. But, since he owed someone something, Kaido had no choice but to answer the phone. Sure enough, just as Kaido expected, as soon as he answered the phone, Big Mom's voice came over anxiously. "Kaido! Sell me some more senzu beans. I can raise the price." Big Mom returned to Wangwo and became more and more unhappy. She was about to take down the marine headquarters, but was ambushed by that woman Crane. "I can't stand it. So I thought about buying some more senzu beans for Kaido and fighting back." Kaido, the corners of his mouth twitched. "Is it over yet? All right. Lingling. I sold those senzu beans to you myself. Now, I don't even have any senzu beans myself." "Wait. Lingling, 25 senzu beans are not enough for you. You didn't destroy all the senzu beans, or did the navy steal them?" Kaido immediately became alert. Chapter 45. If the navy obtained the senzu beans and asked Vegapunk to replicate the senzu beans, the huge advantage that his Beast's pirates had worked so hard to build up would be gone. Big Mom's eyes kept turning away. The navy probably wouldn't announce the fact that she had lost the senzu beans. After all, picking up other people's inventions from pirates and using them for your own research doesn't sound glorious. As a symbol of justice, the navy still cares a lot about its own face. "What are you talking about, Kaido? Mother, how is it possible that the navy would steal my senzu beans? Is it for nothing that I am called the Iron Balloon? Just now, Akainu was beaten to a pulp by me. Garp and Sengoku, the 2 legendary marines, were both exhausted and out of breath. They couldn't do anything to me, mama. Big Mom just started showing off to Kaido. Anyway, except for the fact that her senzu beans were stolen, everything else she said was true. After hearing Big Mom speak so confidently, Kaido dispelled his doubts. But in my heart, I secretly became jealous of the ant. Those were my senzu beans, and I was originally planning to go to the marine headquarters and make a big scene, but you, damn Lingling, got there first. What's even more infuriating is that he's showing off in front of me. It's just 25 senzu beans, which is too little. I want to share some with my subordinates." Big Mom, seeing that Kaido did not doubt her, continued to tell her story. Kaido, who was already feeling a little depressed, couldn't stand it anymore. "I'll use my own senzu beans to let you show off. I haven't even installed it myself. Now, you still have the nerve to ask me for senzu beans to distribute to your subordinates?" Kaido became more and more angry about Big Mom's behavior. "Lingling. I don't even have any senzu beans myself, and you still want to share some with your subordinates. Don't bother me with this kind of thing anymore." After saying that, Kaido hung up the phone directly. No matter how much the phone rang, Kaido would never answer it. Located on the Cake Island, the ant roared. "Asshole! Kaido, this guy, actually didn't answer my call. Damn Navy, you're lucky this time. Just wait. When Dr. Yeyu's senzu beans come out next time, I will make sure you guys are in trouble. After hanging up the phone, Kaido took out the wine gourd he carried with him and drank it sip by sip. Lingling, that damn bastard, will definitely be on the headlines tomorrow after causing such a scene at the Navy headquarters, and his status will definitely rise. How about I go to the Navy headquarters and make some noise? But isn't this too uncreative? We both caused a big fuss at the Marine headquarters. It would be so embarrassing if Lingling was on the headlines tomorrow instead of me. Wouldn't that old witch laugh at me for the rest of my life? Correct. Why not take this opportunity to go find Whitebeard and show him my new Susanoo form move, the Thunder Kirin? 10 minutes later. Kaido walked back from the anywhere door. Boring, Whitebeard is such a coward. He didn't even run into a captain. Whitebeard is really a coward. That's really unlike you, old man. Kaido really didn't expect that Whitebeard would even abandon his base camp to prevent him from a sneak attack. He has been hiding in the deep sea area under his command, and his exact location is unknown. Humph. Just keep hiding, old man. It won't be long before your territory will all belong to our beasts pirates. Kaido cursed inwardly. At this moment, Jin walked towards Kaido. Boss Kaido, there is good news. Before, you asked me to keep an eye on the news about Tianshangjian, their delivery route and specific time. Now I have found out. Yin said excitedly. As king, who is in charge of the beasts pirates' money, he knows very well that the beasts pirates are very short of money right now. I have been trying my best to find the time route that the celestial dragons took to escort Tianshangjian. Unexpectedly, my hard work paid off and I actually found it. After hearing what King said, Kaido, who had been depressed and upset that he couldn't show off, suddenly became energized. He grabbed the intelligence drawings that Yin brought, took a look at them, and laughed out loud. Ah la 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 la. Great. This is more interesting. Directly robbing the celestial dragons of their heavenly gold, isn't this more impressive than causing a big disturbance at the Marine headquarters? Well done, Yin. Kaido, with his strong hands, kept patting Jin's shoulders, with an excited look on his face. The celestial dragons are more powerful than the Navy. They are the real masters of the world. It is not an exaggeration to say that the Navy works for them. This time, I get to slap the celestial dragons in front of the whole world. This is more exciting and interesting than causing trouble in the Navy. The elite officers of the Beasts Pirates will be preparing for the next few days. They will arrive at the Sabayati archipelago in 2 days. Then we'll work together. As for the other members of the 100 Beasts group, don't stop during this period of time and keep making money for me. Ah, hey, 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 hey. Kaido made his decision quickly. Yes, Boss Kaido. There was a bitter smile on Yin's lips. Nowadays, Lord Kaido's mind is full of money. Before, when he followed Kaido, he thought about being hunted down and killed, but he never thought that the 4 Emperors pirate group would worry about money. However, even though he was worried, Yin was still happy in his heart. After all, Calamity's invention was too powerful. After all, he still had 25 devil fruits. Anyway, the Heavenly Gold mission hasn't started yet, so why not learn from Big Mom? First, gain popularity around the world? With senzu beans, it's like having dozens of extra lives. Even if you are one of the 4 emperors Whitebeard, I, Yin, can fight you back and forth. Although I can't win, I will definitely not lose. By then, his bounty will also increase, maybe even more than 20 billion, or even 30 billion. As a pirate, he still values his bounty very much. Jinx has already started fantasizing about the scene where he shows off in front of Marco after his bounty reaches 30 billion belly. Just when Yin was immersed in beautiful imagination, a voice pulled Yin back to reality. Jin, don't leave yet, please come back for a moment. Of course it was Kaido's voice. Boss Kaido, is there anything else you need? Jin stopped and looked at Kaido. Kaido came directly in front of Jin. Jin. I'll use your senzu beans first. I'll return them to you when the next batch of senzu beans is ready. It's not enough to have a door, you also need magic beans to feel at ease. After saying that, without waiting for Jin to react, Kaido used his big hands to take the cloth bag containing senzu beans from Jin's waist. The next moment, the huge blue dragon spread out in the sky and disappeared directly into the horizon. Yin was stunned for a moment, and then he just stood there. No? Please leave one for me, leave one for me. Not leaving anyone behind? Chapter 46. In Vegapunk's special laboratory, Vegapunk, who had been in a coma for 3 days and 3 nights, has now woken up. The first thing he did after waking up was to quickly fill his stomach within 5 minutes. Then, with bloodshot eyes, he looked back at the space materials on the experimental table. I do not believe. Anywhere door, I must break you. After 1 hour. Vegapunk, looking at the failed experiments scattered on the table, fell into deep self-doubt. Does it mean that we really need to understand the realm of God in order to create a portal? Yeah, that guy, how come he is so smart? He's obviously much younger than me. Wrong. It must be this kid Yayu, he's biased in one subject. Yes. It must be like this. That kid is naturally gifted in space technology, which is higher than others. But when it comes to other technological talents, or even daily life such as clothing and food, that kid must be a fool who knows nothing. Unwilling to admit his failure, Vegapunk became jealous. In fact, the more Vegapunk thought about it, the more he felt that his idea was right. Otherwise, Yayu, why would you ask me about the theory of bloodline factors? The only thing I can show off is space technology, haha. When it comes to comprehensive technological capabilities, I, Vegapunk, am the smartest scientist. Vegapunk roared for a while, and his mood immediately became much better. At this moment, the doorbell suddenly rang. Looking at the surveillance video, Vegapunk was surprised. Warring states. Hasn't Kizaru always been in charge of the protection of scientific experiments? Why did the marshal come to see me personally? Then, Vegapunk pressed the button and let Sengoku in. Marshal Zhangguo, what do you want from me? Vegapunk said neither humbly nor arrogantly that even if he was the admiral of the navy, he, Vegapunk, had an equal status with him. It's like this, Dr. Vegapunk. During the battle, our navy obtained a new invention developed by the natural disaster, the senzu beans. I was wondering if you could replicate it. That bastard Yayu has another new invention. Wasn't the invention of the magic door only a few days ago? The first sentence of Zhangguo shocked Vegapunk. However, his reason soon overcame him. Even for me, the smartest person in the world, it takes me several years to develop a project. How come Yayu can come up with a new invention in just a few days? Even if there is, it must be a rubbish invention. Senzu beans? They're not some boring invention that allows people to eat them without feeling hungry, right? There's no need for this kind of rubbish. Tell it to me, Marshal Zhangguo. If you want, I can give you some compressed military rations. Vegapunk, a look of disdain on his face. What are senzu beans? They are just compressed military rations. If I want to make them, I can produce several tons in minutes. After hearing what Vegapunk said, Sengoku was slightly stunned. Won't eating it make you feel hungry? Considering that Big Mom recovered all her strength by eating senzu beans during the battle, this is indeed possible. That's a possibility, Vegapunk. However, the real function of this magic bean is far more than this. As he spoke, Zhangguo also brought out the video he had shot. Dr. Vegapunk, take a look. This is the picture of Admiral Akainu, who was seriously injured, eating the senzu beans and was immediately revived with full health. Being seriously injured, taking this food can revive you to full health? Isn't this even more terrifying than Kaido's bloodline factor that I studied? Not likely. Vegapunk looked skeptical, but he watched anyway. In the scene, Sakasuke, who was severely injured and half dead with his head deeply sunk into the ground, stood up instantly after eating the senzu beans. Where's Big Mom? Big Mom, come out, I want to kill her. Not only did I stand up, but I also felt much better. Looking at Sakasuke and Vegapunk in the picture, their expressions were shocked. Isn't this recovery speed too fast? Originally, he thought that even Kaido would need half a day to recover from Akainu's unconscious state. No matter how powerful your senzu beans are, it would take you a few minutes to recover, right? As a result, it took less than a second from the time Akainu ate the senzu beans to his full health recovery. This also includes the time for gastrointestinal absorption. This is scary. Asshole. Yayu, how did this kid do it? Vegapunk's expression became more and more solemn. He snatched the 2 senzu beans from Sengoku's hand and began to study them with a magnifying glass. A recovery ability even more terrifying than Kaido's. My own bloodline factors can never do this. Yeah, you are already so strong, why do you want to learn your own bloodline factor technology? I can't figure it out. Just as Vegapunk was lost in thought, Sengoku played another video recording and placed it next to Vegapunk's laboratory table. Dr. Vegapunk, please focus on your research. I won't disturb you. This is what Zifa did after eating the senzu beans. You can also refer to it. Afterwards, Sengoku quietly left Vegapunk's laboratory. After going out, Zhangguo looked up at the sky. The sky was particularly clear today. As expected of Dr. Vegapunk, he really works day and night without eating. I haven't even finished putting out all the research materials here, but the doctor has already started studying them. I believe that in the future, Dr. Vegapunk will be able to develop the Anywhere Door and Senzu Beans. The future of our navy is getting brighter and brighter. Ha 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 ha. Sengoku, in a good mood, burst into laughter and waited only a few days to ask Vegapunk for the use of the replica Anywhere Door and Senzu Beans. And, just as Zhangguo was howling to the sky, Vegapunk in the laboratory almost went crazy. Broken limbs regenerate. Moreover, a broken arm that had been broken for 9 years has healed. You know, even Kaido, who is known to be immortal, has dozens of scars of varying sizes on his body that cannot heal at all. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. What kind of technology is involved here? What on earth is this recovery technology that surpasses the bloodline factor? What on earth is it? Vegapunk, holding a microscope, has been observing the internal structure of the senzu beans, but after a long time, he still has no clue. The flame of jealousy instantly burned in Vegapunk's eyes. Why, at such a young age, you could master so many incredible technologies. Chapter 47. I, Vegapunk, ate the brain fruit and have studied scientific research for so many years, but I am not as good as a young man like you. I don't agree. Forget about the Anywhere Door. I must replicate the senzu beans. Just wait for me. The next moment, Vegapunk's eyes turned bloodshot as he looked at a drawer in the laboratory. He took out a syringe again and gave himself an injection. Ah, it hurts. For the next 3 days and 3 nights, he, Vegapunk, will be tireless and energetic. He won't need to eat or poop, just to replicate Yayu's senzu beans. In Wano country, in the beast laboratory, Yayu sneezed. It's that girl again, thinking about me. Yayu, lying in a grand chair in the laboratory, tasting the fine wine produced in Dressrosa, muttering lazily. After a day of eating and drinking, Yayu felt that he had had enough entertainment and continued to open his system. New technology time room has been unlocked. Time House isn't this the place for cultivation created by God in the Dragon Ball world? This is so shameless. Time House, people can enter it to practice, 2 people can enter at a time, and 1 day is equivalent to 1 year. 1 day in there is equivalent to 1 year of training outside. If Kaido and Big Mom were to practice for more than 10 days, maybe they would be able to make a breakthrough, right? Sure enough, everything the system produces is top quality. To be honest, I want to go in and practice properly. Or, make one for yourself? But when I looked at the price, my goodness, to build a time house, it would cost 10 billion Baileys. Forget it. I think I don't need to practice. It's pretty cool to draw lots to improve my combat power. Yayu fell into a state of thinking. Good stuff, indeed good stuff, but I have to say, the products of this system, except for senzu beans, are more expensive than each other. At the same time, Yayu had already sensed something to some extent. Judging from the Beast's pirates' recent eating and drinking, it seems that the Beast's pirates are out of money. In a short period of time, with Kaido's ability, it will definitely be solved, and I can also conduct scientific research several times. However, funding in the future is also a hidden danger. I can't rely solely on Kaido, I have to prepare myself. Plan ahead. You must never stop your scientific research. As a scientist, Yayu would never allow the so-called funding issues to hinder his scientific research. Make money. But, as a scientist, do I have to rob money like a pirate? What's the use of Kaido then? Yayu narrowed his eyes, and suddenly a flash of inspiration came to his mind. Vegapunk. Last time, I gave away part of the technology of the portal in exchange for the theory of bloodline factor. This time, why don't I use my scientific and technological theories to exchange for more money? How about blackmailing that guy Vegapunk? No, it's a great exchange between two great scientists, and by the way, just let Vegapunk pay for lunch. Buffett's lunch. Thinking of this, Yayu snapped his fingers, and the next moment, he disappeared into the random door. Of course, Yayu doesn't have the habit of bringing his own meals, so lunch will be provided by Vegapunk. In Future Island, in Vegapunk's special laboratory, Vegapunk, with bloodshot eyes, is conducting experiments again and again. Failed experiment. Why can't I create a portal even though I've already obtained the materials for it? I have also completely replicated the ingredients of this bean. With the same ingredients, why is it that the invention of the natural disaster can bring people back to life and can be called a magic bean, while what I developed is only a green soybean that can fill the stomach? Asshole Yayu! Asshole Yayu! Vegapunk, rubbing his hair, went crazy. Behind Vegapunk, Yayu's mouth twitched. Dr. Vegapunk, as a world-renowned scientist, it's not good for you to curse people behind their backs, right? Yayu's voice came, and Vegapunk was shocked. Vegapunk heaved a sigh of relief after seeing that it was Yayu and the anywhere door. Really? I thought I saw a ghost. It turned out to be you, Yayu. But then, Vegapunk's expression changed again. No. Yayu. This is my private laboratory. It's very rude of you to come in suddenly like this, isn't it? Vegapunk set up various mechanisms in his special laboratory, and even the admirals found it difficult to get in. However, this setting of mine is almost useless for the anywhere door. Don't worry about it, Dr. Vegapunk. I'm here to help you. Have a meal together. By the way, let's talk about these two things. Yayu pointed to the anywhere door and the incomplete senzu bean on Vegapunk's experimental table, which were the result of a failed experiment, and said with a smile. Vegapunk inexplicably felt inferior. It's like going to pee with others, and they take out bananas, but I can only take out bean sprouts. It's a frustrating feeling. What's even more infuriating is that Yayu actually pointed at me and said he could help me. Hateful. Would you be so kind? Are you trying to piss me off on purpose? You know very well that the only thing I can exchange for you of equal value is my bloodline, and I have nothing at all now. It's not right to insult someone like this, Yayu. I don't have any skills that I can trade with you. Vegapunk clenched his fists and spoke through gritted teeth. At this moment, he felt a little mocking that he didn't even have the qualifications to exchange with others. After hearing what Vegapunk said, Yayu just smiled faintly. Don't worry, I don't want any technology. Okay? Vegapunk narrowed his eyes and stared at Yayu closely. Is he really so kind? Could it be that Yayu really feels sorry for me and wants to help myself? Do you want to reject him? After all, I am a scientist, and it would be too cheap to just accept technology given to me by others. It's like charity given to you. You just need to give me money. Yayu's words reached Vegapunk's ears. Vegapunk. It seems that I was overthinking just now. Damn, after thinking for a long time, Yayu, this bastard, is not letting me get it for free. Chapter 48. However, Vegapunk was still somewhat confused about Yayu's actions. It seems that you are really a money grubber, Dr. Yayu. In that case, why don't you join the Navy? When Vegapunk was young, he directly rejected his good friend, Dragon, the current leader of the Revolutionary Army, because of financial problems. I chose to join the Navy just for the money, it's that simple. He doesn't feel any guilt at all. This is the purest scientist. I naturally have my own purpose. As for the money, don't worry about it, Vegapunk. If you want, I'll have lunch with you for 80 billion Baileys. Yayu laughed inwardly. I chose Kaido because it gives me more freedom. However, my situation is different from Vegapunk's. Vegapunk is faced with the problem of choosing between freedom and funds. As for myself, I want them all. This is the reason why Yehan has been staying with Kaido. Besides, aren't you solving the problem of lack of money yourself? You must be kidding, Yayu. That's 80 billion Baileys. Vegapunk, the whole person, just screamed loudly. Even for him, Vegapunk, 80 billion Baileys is not a small number. This was enough to bankrupt me, and all the small treasury I had accumulated from the world government over the past few decades was completely drained out. I can tell you that you can talk about anything when you have lunch with me, including these two inventions and all scientific and technological theories. Of course. If you want to ask me about the technique of growing bean sprouts into thick bananas, I can tell you a thing or two. Vegapunk's mouth twitched for a while. He really didn't expect that Yayu was such a naughty guy. However, Vegapunk was indeed moved. Even though he knew nothing about the portal, but last time, after Yayu's patient explanation to him, didn't he still manage to create the synthetic materials for the portal? From this perspective, as long as I master all the theories, I can definitely create the magic door and the magic beans, these two incredible technological products. As for the 80 billion Baileys, I can make the anywhere door and senzu beans myself and let the world government pay for it. Not to mention 80 billion, even if it's 800 billion, the world government can come up with it. Of course, the prerequisite is that you must make it yourself. If you can't make it, the world government will not pay you so much money. Seeing Vegapunk's expression as if he had taken the bait, Yayu was immediately delighted. Will I tell Vegapunk all my theories? Of course. As a scientist, I must fulfill what I promise to others. However, I am not irresponsible for right or wrong. As for Vegapunk, will he find out that it was a mistake? There is no need to worry about Yayu. The technologies involved in these two inventions are, one is the magic beans that only immortals can cultivate, and the other is an invention of the four-dimensional world, which is definitely not something a large three-dimensional bug can fully understand. Okay. Yayu, 80 billion Baileys, just 80 billion Baileys, deal. Vegapunk, I'm finally moved. Don't just stand there, Vegapunk, prepare lunch. Yayu urged. Ready. If not. Vegapunk was speechless for a moment. He spent a total of 80 billion Baileys, and then had to pay for the meal himself. This guy Yayu is really stingy. With a helpless snort, Vegapunk brought up the lunch that the world government had prepared for him every day and placed it in the laboratory in advance. Just make do with it. I usually eat in the lab. Looking at the dazzling array of lunch, Yayu's mouth twitched. If we talk about luxury, it has to be the world government. In this way, Yayu had a bad afternoon eating Vegapunk's food, taking Vegapunk's money, fooling Vegapunk and taking some of Vegapunk's scientific research equipment when leaving. After returning to his laboratory, Yayu roughly counted the accounts and found that he now had 230 Baileys in his own piggy bank. The funding problem has been alleviated to some extent, but next, I have to continue accumulating points. However, Yayu has become increasingly dissatisfied, and only the beast's pirates can help him gain points. Speaking of which, now I need to find a middleman so that all the forces on the sea can buy my products and earn points for myself. Of course, the quantity cannot be too large, and it is limited to senzu beans. After all, although Kaido is a little weak at the moment, a lean camel is still bigger than a horse. Selling all your belongings is still very useful, and it can allow you to make several more inventions. Moreover, Yayu believed that even if it was only a small amount of senzu beans, these senzu beans would eventually flow into the hands of the powerful men in the sea. A strong man could get thousands of times more points by eating one senzu bean than a small minion. You won't lose many points. Thinking of this, a slight curve appeared at the corner of Yayu's mouth. Since he has made so many contributions to the beast's pirates, I think it is understandable that Boss Kaido would do some small things and do some private work. After all, before I traveled through time, I often did this at work. This habit can't be changed in a short time. But who should I choose to be my middleman? It is best to be good at both the black and white worlds so that you can maximize your points. Doflamingo. A name appeared in Yayu's mind. A typical businessman, Doflamingo has connections in both the black and white worlds and has a lot of capital. More importantly, Doflamingo is a smart man and he likes dealing with smart people. The next moment, Yayu asked the 6 flying creatures, page 1, who were guarding outside the door, to imagine the appearance of Dressrosa and walk into the door again. It's just that we're lacking some basic scientific research materials. There's no need to tell Jack. I can get them myself. You did a good job on duty today. Here are 10 senzu beans as a reward for you. Yayu, as he spoke, gave Peggy 10,000 senzu beans. Page 1 was immediately flattered and took the beans. Although the price of senzu beans is not too expensive, the key is that there are only so many of them, and they are usually distributed by Lord Kaido. You can't buy them even if you have money. Yes, Lord Scourge. Chapter 49. In the New World, the Kingdom of Love and Flowers, Dressrosa, the bustling streets are crowded with people, and the most luxurious of them is the royal palace of Dressrosa. At this time, Doflamingo was sitting and lying on the throne in the palace with his legs crossed. His eyes behind his sunglasses were flashing with light, as if he was judging something. Diamante, who had a soft sword on his waist, asked Doflamingo with a puzzled look on his face. "Young master, Kaido has been in conflict with other forces recently. It seems that he wants to go to war with the whole world. Is Kaido ready to fight against the whole world?" Doflamingo shook the wine glass in his hand and waved his hand to express his disapproval. "The beast's pirates, although they are very powerful now, they do not have the strength to fight against the entire world. At least Kaido knows better than anyone how powerful the world government is. Kaido is not stupid. He is trying to seize money and prepare for the next big war." Doflamingo quickly made his own judgment and said enviously. "Who hasn't been a teenager?" He, Doflamingo, also had the same dream as Kaido when he was young, to start a great war, force the celestial dragons to abdicate, and rule the entire world. However, after seeing the power of the world, his inner dream had already rusted away. "In that case, this is good news, young master. As the beast's pirates become stronger, their cooperation with our Don Quixote family will definitely become deeper and deeper in the future. If we create an artificial devil fruit, we can create more value." Diamante looked excited. "Cooperate? In recent days, all our transactions have been compressed. It's all because of that natural disaster's technology. Now, the beast's pirates have invested almost all of their money in that guy named Yayu. Toripole, who was recently responsible for protecting the Smile Factory, said angrily with his nose running. Doflamingo drank all the red wine in one gulp and sat up straight. "Anger won't solve any problems. It will only make you lose your judgment, Toripole. With scientists like Yohane, if I were Kaido, I would do the same thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But, having said that, I really envy Kaido for being able to recruit a scientist like Zay. I also have a scientist named Caesar by my side, but compared to Yayu, he is just a younger brother among younger brothers. Yayu develops a new god-level technology every few days, but what about Caesar? After so many years of research on artificial devil fruits, we still haven't figured it out yet." At this moment, Pika suddenly pushed the door open and walked forward with an excited look on his face. "Young master, I have completed what you asked me to do. Luckily, many of the little pirates in the beast's pirates have senzu beans. I bought some at a high price. As the lowest class among pirates, their lives are worthless. Compared to their lives, they care more about money. Therefore, it is inevitable that the senzu beans in the beast's pirates will flow into the black market." "Fairy beans? What is this?" Dover. Toripole, with a runny nose, looked at the green beans in front of him and asked curiously. Pika, who was standing by, also looked confused. "Personally, let the top officials go buy beans?" The other cotters, BABY5, Derringer, and Mabayas, also looked around. "This is a bean that can fill your stomach, right? It can't be that simple, right?" They actually asked the top official to buy it personally. Doflamingo took out the information he had obtained early this morning and placed it on the table in front of him. "Look for yourselves. This is the latest information. I believe that it won't be long before the entire ocean will know the value of this bean." Everyone was browsing the information, and their previously puzzled expressions turned into shock. "Can you recover from injuries instantly? Doesn't it mean that whoever eats a senzu bean will have a recovery ability even more terrifying than Kaido, the undead creature?" Diamante swallowed his saliva and said in disbelief. Toripole, his nose full of snot, which was almost dripping onto his clothes, just froze in his place. How can a tiny bean exert such a powerful force? The beast's pirate's natural disaster is too scary. He has just developed the anywhere door, hasn't it been long? Pila also had a look of emotion on her face. "Yes, the natural disaster is horrible. Big Mom only bought some senzu beans, but she beat Akainu to death and even slapped Garp. This was unthinkable before." The other Don Quixote family cotters were so shocked that they opened their mouths wide. With senzu beans, Big Mom can even slap Garp. If they had senzu beans, their fighting power would probably reach the level of the 7 warlords of the sea, right? One piece of technology can improve a person's combat power by a large level. Is this the natural disaster of the beast's pirates? Doflamingo also murmured something. If only the natural disaster was our Don Quixote's. But, this is impossible. At this moment, a random door suddenly appeared at the intersection of the Dressrosa Palace building. Through the glass inside the palace, facing Toripole outside, I saw the arbitrary door. Dover, look, it's the anywhere door. Okay? Doflamingo frowned slightly. Now, the beast's pirates come to buy things from our place, without even saying hello? However, due to Kaido, especially the current strength of the beast's pirates, Doflamingo still went out to greet them with the executives of the Don Quixote family. I don't know if it's Jack or Quinn who's coming to buy things this time. Coming downstairs, Doflamingo said curiously. Finally, a figure walked out of the door. Most of the Don Quixote family cotters did not recognize Yayu. Who is this person? He looks familiar, but I can't remember where he is. Diamante, looking confused. Doflamingo, seeing the figure in front of him, suddenly opened his mouth slightly, showing surprise. This person is the scourge of the beast's pirates, Yayu. Yayu? Everyone looked at Yayu again, and sure enough, he looked very similar to the portrait of Yayu in the intelligence. But why did Yayu come here to run errands in person? Isn't he doing scientific research? Looking at everyone's shocked eyes, Yayu looked around and said hello. Hello everyone, I'm Yayu, a scientist. You can call me Dr. Yayu or Mr. Calamity. Yayu landed on the ground and said with a smile. After a brief moment of confusion, Diamante and other members of the Don Quixote family hurriedly called him Dr. Yayu and Lord Calamity. They could say whatever bad things about Yayu behind his back, but they dared not speak nonsense in front of him. After all, the person in front of him, even Jack the Drought, who often cooperated with them, had a status almost the same as his young master. When he saw Yayu, he called him Lord Disaster. Just when everyone was smiling and welcoming Yayu, to everyone's surprise, veins on Doflamingo's forehead bulged slightly, and then it seemed as if he had made some important decision. Catch Yayu for me! Chapter 50. Doflamingo roared for a while, and at this moment, the air seemed to be quiet. Take down Yayu? The one in front of me is second only to the four emperors, the beast's pirates, and above everyone else. It is definitely not someone they, the Don Quixote family, can afford to offend. Young master, what happened? Have you forgotten how terrifying Kaido is? Yayu's eyelids also twitched twice. Doflamingo, is this your way of hospitality? But, young master, if we capture Yayu, Kaido will definitely not let us go. Toripole expressed his confusion. Idiot! With Yayu, Kaido can't do anything to us. Whoever gets Yayu will get the world. Fu, 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 fu. Doflamingo's arrogant laughter spread across the entire sky. After hearing Doflamingo's words, the executives of the Don Quixote family understood instantly. As expected of you, young master. Ha ha ha. With Yayu's technology, who are we, the Don Quixote family, afraid of? By that time, even Kaido will have to beg us for technological products, right? With Yayu, money and power will all come to us. Our Don Quixote family is going to rise. I'm so sorry, Dr. Yayu, ha 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 ha. The Don Quixote family cotters who had been smiling before now looked at Yayu with greed in their eyes. The next moment, everyone rushed towards Yayu quickly. Quickly control him, and don't let him escape through the anywhere door. He watched as the members of the Charlotte family all around him pounced on him like wolves. Yayu raised the corners of his mouth slightly and revealed a bitter smile. Really? I was actually treated as a little sheep. Sure enough, my previous guess was correct. In the world of pirates, one's own combat power must be strong, otherwise no matter how powerful one's technology is, one can only be a prey in the eyes of others. It's time to show off your fighting ability a little. The next moment, a powerful aura rose from Yayu's body and emerged. The aura suddenly increased by tens of thousands times. The previously clear sky became overcast due to the influence of Yayu's terrifying domineering color. In an instant, the entire imperial palace was surrounded by dark clouds, creating an extremely oppressive feeling. Doflamingo, who had been smiling till now, suddenly had a ray of light reflected from his pink sunglasses, and he froze in place. No way! Yayu, isn't he a scientist? Why did such a terrifying aura suddenly burst out? And this terrifying aura, why does it feel so much like the domineering Haki? Doflamingo said in surprise, his mouth trembling slightly. Almost at the same moment when Doflamingo opened his mouth to speak, the domineering color in Yayu's body began to surge madly around Yayu. The picture seemed to be completely frozen at this moment. Those members of the Don Quixote family who had pounced on them like wolves before were suddenly attacked by an invisible force. One voice after another came from their hearts. What a terrifying power! What on earth is this? This inexplicable panic and terror came suddenly and is totally out of my control. Strange, why do I feel, for no apparent reason, like my head is about to explode? And this damn nausea-inducing feeling, it's so uncomfortable. My head hurts so much. My body feels so heavy, I am dying. What's going on? Why is the world in front of me becoming more and more blurry? These inner voices just came out of their hearts, and the next moment, the members of the Charlotte family rolled their eyes and fell heavily to the ground. Only the three highest-ranking officials of the Don Quixote family, Toripol, Pica, and Diamante, managed to remain in a kneeling position and were not knocked unconscious. All the other ordinary officials and minions fainted. Even Doflamingo had beads of sweat on his forehead at this moment. Even Doflamingo's fingers couldn't help but tremble in fear. Compared to Doflamingo's outward loss of composure, Doflamingo's heart at this moment was even more shocked and turbulent. This is the domineering Haki, there is no doubt about it. Moreover, it is a dominant Haki that surpasses me. Doflamingo said with trembling lips. At the very least, Doflamingo, with his own domineering Haki, is not able to intimidate the powerful men at the level of the 7 warlords of the sea, nor can he make people like Treble kneel down and surrender. The domineering Haki of the person in front of him has reached the level of the 4 emperors. After hearing Don Quixote's words, the top officials of the Charlotte family, who were kneeling on the ground and trembling all the time, felt as if a mountain was pressing down on them, were all dumbfounded. Young master! What did you say? This kid is just like you, with only 1 in a million talents, the owner of the domineering Haki. Toribal, with a runny nose, struggled to raise his head and looked at Yayu with his mouth wide open. Young master! Did I hear wrongly? How could he possibly possess a dominant Haki, and a dominant Haki that is even higher than yours? That's impossible. He's obviously a scientist, okay? Diamante's eyes were filled with fear and disbelief, and he let out a roar. Yayu rolled his eyes at Diamante and walked up to him step by step. Who told you, a scientist, that you can't have hegemony Haki? You are openly disdainful of scientists, okay? Just for this reason, I have reason to kill you. Yayu said in fake anger. In fact, Yayu held back when using the Overlord Haki just now. Otherwise, even the top officials of the Don Quixote family would have been knocked unconscious just like ordinary people. To Yayu, who is at the king level, ordinary pirates, officers, and even the highest officers are all ants.